is Sports with an Accent, Deportes con Acento. Here's your host,
Hello,
Robert
welcome everybody to
Soltero.
another episode.
How about you let the man finish before you start speaking?
You can go ahead, Robert. Here's your host, Robert.
Great start, everybody.
Go.
Mid-season
Just
form
go.
right here.
Hello, everybody, to another episode of Sports with an
Uh-oh.
I should have been frozen Brian Rios and frozen Seth Pollock here.
No, you guys were frozen. We
No,
were.
you guys are frozen. This is a great start already.
Hey, we're doing great. Let's keep going, everybody.
Yeah.
What's going on right now? Okay, can we just let's get into this,
Yeah.
all right? Because
How are you doing? How are you doing this week?
I'm
Well,
doing
Robert-
good. You know, my Bears are 2-0, although they could easily be 0-2. So, but you know, win's a win. And there's a lot of injuries today. You know, we're gonna get into that, of course.
How about
crazy?
How about you, Seth?
I'm doing okay. I'm Browns are 1-1. Could be.
Ohio State is coming back.
Yeah. We're but I'm very sad about some injuries though.
Brian, I'm not even gonna ask.
If you can tell, I have changed the rearrangement of my background because I don't want to like smell the Jets right now. I don't want to like smell anything that has to do with the New York Jets or taste anything or feel anything green right now. I'm in a greenless mode. Oh shoot, the timer's green. I got to change that.
So while he does that, let's just get started, guys. Like I'll just introduce topics and like we'll go through that. So as we do each week, NBA, MLB, then college football topic, and then NFL, which is very interested about talking these topics we have. And then the fun topic this week. Maybe we won't get into a fight on the fun topic this week.
I hope not.
It's pick'em right now.
Let's pick it.
-1, is it 110, 115? Pick 'em, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not a huge betting person. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's start with the NBA, guys. We got the conference finals for both conferences. So let's start with the Eastern Conference, which looks like the most interesting matchup right now. So Miami Heat have a 2-1 lead against the Boston Celtics. What do you guys think about this series? How it's going? What do you think is going to happen next? All that.
Well, I thought, last night was, of course, pivotal, for the Celtics. They needed to win last night, and they did, and they looked good for the most part doing it. They got really good. It was, as far as, team effort, scoring the ball, it's as good as I've seen all playoff. Kemba, Smart, Tatum, Brown, all over 20 points. So they all did their thing, and their defense was impressive, although it got interesting there because the Heat, continued to fight. And, we thought that at one point, like, oh, here we go again. They're going to give up another lead. But the Celtics hung on and won. This is a very interesting series. I think with the Heat now, with Adebayo, he played well yesterday. Dragic was held in check. He didn't play very well. And the Celtics did a good job on them. Like I said, their defense was good. Hero was really good off the bench. But yeah, the Celtics really pretty much had that one done since the beginning of the game. But, I still like the Heat in this series because of how they match up with the Celtics defensively. And that zone defense, although yesterday the Celtics did a better job against it, that gave them fits in game 2. I'm going to say something right now. I'm going to go out on a limb. I think game 4, obviously we know game 4, if the Celtics can win, can make a 2-2 series. I think it's going to be 3-1. I think the Heat it's going to be interesting. I think the Heat they're going to go out there, they're going to take care of business, and they're going to win by double digits in game 4. Putting it out there. Okay.
So I was mentioning to you guys, just because he said they were going to win double digits, the Heat have only led 20% in the whole series, like 20% of the time. So,
and that's why I'm jumping. I'm going out on a limb because I just think that in game 4 they're going to make adjustments and they're going to put their foot down. I think that's just the way I look at it.
Brian,
I found this is very interesting series. I mean, so much fun, so many great moments. Bam Adebayo's block was art. That was not a block. That was art. If you like ever want to see like how to like the most beautiful block in the world, I think that one might be it.
No,
Even though
no.
I said beautiful. I didn't mean hard. I mean that was an artistic block.
But we can all agree. We can all agree that it wasn't the best block in the
I could
playoffs.
say, yeah, fine. You can say the LeBlock is the
Block is
best.
definitely the best.
Or
block.
no one mentions this. Tayshaun Prince, 2004.
Tayshaun Prince on Reggie Miller and those are two huge blocks. They like change things, but the LeBlock was in the NBA Finals, Game 7. I mean, we could go on with this topic, but wow, great series. Gordon Hayward made a difference yesterday, even though it didn't seem to like reflect that much on the stat line. It reflects so much on the court. Like you could totally see that he's such a leader, and he's like an extra ball handler that could so be like the on-ball guard or whatever they play, because they play just a bunch of wings. But yeah, it's a totally new series now. The Celtics won 2-1. Gordon Hayward's not going to go see his baby being born anymore, so that might be a little bit more interesting for the Celtics. And I'm sticking with my guns, Celtics in 7. I mean, it's what we expected the series to be. It's been tough. It's been hard. And Miami has definitely shown something. Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson, like all those 3-point shooters that they have. Jimmy Butler with his like strength and will to win. But that's what we expected. And as I expected, I still expect the Celtics to win it in 7. So I'm sticking with my guns.
Yeah, so it's interesting because I originally last week picked Heat in 6, and now the Heat have a 2-1 lead, and I'm kind of wavering a little bit just because of Game 3. Like Robert said, the Celtics have led so much of the series, and it feels like with getting Gordon Hayward back, it's like Brian was saying, it's not necessarily everything that shows up in the box score, but it's just the things that he does on the floor, giving another person who can't not just shoot it, but pass the ball, somebody else that the Heat have to account for in so many areas of the game. I'm going to stick with Heat in 6, but there's only been one game where...
Sorry.
Come on, man.
What's going on?
What's that?
That was big.
Keep going.
No, I want to know what the was.
Okay.
Is it Mahomes, Robert? Is it Mahomes?
And got a first down. Yeah, huge.
Oh,
run.
let's go. Let's go.
Now, Seth, keep talking.
Yeah, but anyway, we've only had one game in the series where both teams are going to be what they are, games 4 through 7, and the Celtics won that one pretty good. I expect the Heat to come out with more intensity in Game 4, like Josiah, I think, was implying by picking them in Game 4. I don't know. I mean, we saw Game 1 was really close, and then of course Game 2, or Game 1, excuse me, we had the crazy stuff going on with the block, and then even more than that, the Jason Tatum almost hitting that 3-pointer after being on the ground. Like if he had made that, man, that would have been. You talk about Brad Stevens coaching 2 teams that have had like the very close to like what would have been the most amazing shots ever. You have that, and then you have of course Butler in the national title game, Gordon Hayward. But yeah, no, I expect the Heat to come out with more intensity. I could see this being a 7-game series. I think we're going to get really good games 4 through however many more games the series goes. But even though I feel like I'm kind of leaning Boston, I'm going to stick to my guns, and I'm going to stick with Miami in 6.
Okay. I still think it's going to be a 7-game series. Boston wins it. So the next game is not until Wednesday. So this is really good for both teams. They get a little bit of rest. They have to play like one night in, one night out. And the thing is, for Gordon Hayward, this is great because the thing was he wasn't expected to play that many minutes. You thought he was going to play 15 minutes. He ended up playing 30 minutes, which is insane for a player just coming back from a stint of being out, 5 weeks, a month. And like on Wednesday, he's going to probably be at least at, I want to say 100%, but 90%. After the game yesterday, he said he was tired. So I hope that next game, I don't expect him to score 20 points, but give you a little bit more than what he did yesterday. He played well last night. My thing is, Boston's got to handle those leads. Yesterday they were going to blow it again. They were close to blowing it again, and you can't do that against a team like Miami because they don't stop fighting. That's what we learned from the Heat all year long, especially in these playoffs, in the bubble. And Boston's just got to do that. I feel like Boston's going to come out that Nets game on Wednesday and win it. And they figured out yesterday was with the zone, like you mentioned, they're going faster to the rim, and that's what's happening. They're moving around. They're strong, small ball. Like they have a small ball lineup, and they're putting those like guards at the free throw line and moving the ball around, which is working. So you got to move around fast and do that. Keep doing that. And I think I was going to mention.
Well, I was going to give a little bit of a rebuttal to the Gordon Hayward thing. Like, I don't know if I love the idea of playing him 30 minutes right off the bat.
I don't like that either.
When he just came off an injury, he's out for a month. I feel like it's a little risky. He looked good. He did a good job. I should have mentioned that his passing looked really good. That gives that bench a different look. But I thought 30 minutes was a little too much for giving him right off the bat. So it concerns me a little bit. But, yeah, he does give them something off the bench. His ball handling, his scoring, his defense, a lot of different things. I disagree with Brian in saying that this is a totally different series, though. I'm not ready to say that yet because I want to see how the Celtics look in Game 4. If they can take care of business in Game 4, okay, yeah, it changes everything. But I'm not ready to call this a completely different series because the Celtics desperately needed to win that game, and they got it. Now they have to even the series out on Wednesday. And I just think the Heat, they're going to impose their will. And I just think it's going to be a close game for 3 quarters, but I think in the 4th quarter they're going to pull away. That's why I obviously could see it going 7 games. This is a series that is very competitive. It's 2 really good teams. I just think with the Heat, they just looked really good all playoffs, and then games. I mean, they did have the comfort behind in games 1 and 2. I think they know now that they can't start off slow, which is what they've done in a lot of these games.
All games they've done.
That's what I'm saying. And so I think in Game 4 they're gonna know that, and they're gonna come out really hot. I think they're gonna have a really good start, and then I just feel like they're gonna take care of business. But I'm impressed with how Kemba's been playing. I wanted to point that out. Kemba's been playing well, better than he's been this whole playoff, and he's got to keep it playing like that. If the Celtics want to win the series, because if he underperforms like he has rounds 1 and 2, they're not going to win the series.
No, round 1 and 2. No, round 1 he was really good. He averaged like 23 points a game that series.
Yeah, but he still struggles in certain games.
No, he
wasn't consistent.
He was good that series. Okay. I would say round 2.
I guess I'm not.
Just look at the stats.
I watched
look at the stats through the games.
Okay, so Kemba needs to play better. So he needs to keep doing that. If he doesn't play well, I don't think this team wins this series. That he's a huge factor in this series, and I hope that he can keep this success going in Game 4 and beyond.
Here's another thing I wanted to mention. There's a stat I saw. So there's a small sample size, 7 minutes. So the best 5 lineup for the Celtics. I think this means taking out Smart and putting Hayward like they had it before the injury. So the lineup of Kemba, Jalen, Hayward, Tatum, and Theis. 7 minutes, offensive rating 162, defensive rating 76. The net rating's at 86, which, I mean, that's a small sample size, but I guess if you play more minutes, that can do a lot of damage.
Well, I don't know. I still think we'll see. This is still an interesting series, and I feel like it's yet to be decided.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you guys feel about switching over to the other series and just talk about the Western Conference now, where we've seen only 1 game, and it seemed like the Lakers had it all pretty handled for themselves. They beat the Denver Nuggets pretty handedly. I don't know. What do you guys think about that one?
Well, first off, I just looked at Kemba's numbers, and yeah, they're pretty good. They could have been better though. So for the Nuggets-Lakers series, I think we saw in Game 1. This is a totally different beast for the Denver Nuggets because they're dealing with a team in the Lakers that's got a lot of length, and they really get after on defense. They're a bigger team. than what they played in the Clippers last series. And you saw that in game one. That was an issue. Jokic struggled a little bit, going up against Anthony Davis, JaVale McGee, Dwight Howard. That's a big team right there. I think this whole series, Jokic is going to kind of have his hands full, I think. So that's a huge factor. And I think the key in that game was the transition points and the fast break points just absolutely killed the Nuggets. When you allow the Lakers to get out in transition with that team, the players they have, you're done for. It's just like you can't give the ball away against them. You can't allow them to get in transition because they're just dangerous. And you saw Davis was dominant. He dominated against the Nuggets, and he's not a good matchup for the Nuggets. I think this is a series where I think Anthony Davis is going to go ballistic. He's going to be absolutely dominating this whole series. And Rondo, once again, has been continuing to play extremely well. Playoff Rondo, his passing was unbelievable, especially in that third quarter. That pass that he made to Anthony Davis, the bounce pass from the corner was just unbelievable. It's just like, and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, no one's going to talk about, played really well. So, LeBron and AD are going to get there. It's about the others stepping up, and Rondo was one of them. He was a big factor in game one. This is a series that I think with the Nuggets, they're playing a much bigger team in the Lakers. And I think matchup-wise, it doesn't favor them that well. And I think this series, I'm not going to doubt the Nuggets. I can see them coming back and putting up a better game in game two. But I think this series, I like the Lakers. I like them pulling this out in 6 games. I could see it going deep, but I just don't I'm not going to go against LeBron. Can't do it. Especially going up against an inexperienced team, the Nuggets, who've been very impressive. Very impressive. But, they can't fall 3-1 against the Lakers because they're not coming back if they do that. So I like the Lakers in this series in 6 games.
I think it's very hard to go against LeBron, especially like angry LeBron right now with like the whole MVP thing. I mean, yeah, and it's playoff LeBron, it's playoff Rondo. Dwight Howard is playing like intimidator in this whole entire Denver series. I mean, didn't you guys see him? Like he was in the middle of the Denver huddle, just like playing pesty Dwight Howard.
And he played well.
No, yeah, he played well, and it's like I think one of the announcers was saying it's like the 2 people that were like so happy that Denver beat the Clippers in the Laker lineup was JaVale McGee and Dwight Howard, because against the Nuggets they have a role because like they need bodies to guard Jokic, and they also have Plumlee, who like is also a big body. So I mean, yeah, it's interesting. And the Lakers, like, they dominated game 1. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if the Nuggets all of a sudden come out swinging game 2, but also wouldn't surprise me if the Lakers just dominated again game 2 because they just looked so comfortable in that game 1. Everything was working. Even Green was hitting 3-pointers. Ha! Who would have thought? Danny Green hitting 3-pointers. Wow. But yeah, I mean, it's we'll see. I hope Murray will ball out because I mean he's just a baller, and he's showing that he's like deserves to be in the top echelons of NBA talent. So hopefully he shows like his playoff might. But I mean, I don't expect the Denver Nuggets to win this series. I'm expecting the Lakers to win. Right now, the way I'm looking at it, 5.
Yeah, I would think.
That's far-fetched to say. I don't think it is. I want to say it, but
yeah, from the way what we've seen from the Lakers and the way that Anthony Davis was able to dominate, I don't think that's far-fetched at all. I could see, I mean, of course, Denver pulling a game out or maybe another game after that. But yeah, this should be the Lakers series to win fairly easily. I don't see it. I don't see it being one where we're wondering what's going to happen in game 5. We're wondering, do the Nuggets have a legit shot at this one?
Yeah, I would say 6. Lakers winning, obviously. That matchup at center, I would say, is the problem that's going to be in the whole series. And then you got all the Lakers. The role players are playing really well, even if some key players not playing. And Rondo's been really good. Passing the ball. We saw that game against the Rockets where he just scored like 20 points, which is pretty amazing to see. So I don't think they have an answer. Like they can probably make the game or they'll get eliminated close, and they're gonna keep it close because one thing we know about the Nuggets is they're never gonna quit on a game. So we have to watch out for them.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they'll compete. Just the Lakers I think they're just too good. I think there are going to be some games in this series where they're just going to whoop them. I mean, think about it. Up to this point, they've only lost 2 games in the playoffs. And, it's funny because when we were talking about them in the regular season and how, off they were, they didn't look very good. They were just kind of like going through the motions, it seemed. But now they've got it figured out. They're locked in. LeBron is locked in, Davis, all those guys, they're ready to go. So it's just like, I hope Jamal Murray goes off in some of these games, but I don't know, man. Like this is Lakers know how to defend, and I think Jamal Murray is just like Jokic is going to have problems, and that's part of the reason the defensive side I think is a huge factor in this series. And that's why I think the Lakers have the advantage.
It also seemed like everyone just all of a sudden seemed to find their role. Like even J.R. Smith, like screaming and being a pest, like on the bench, just like standing up and being like cheerleader number 1, like found his role. Even Deion Waiters' son found a role, like practicing next to LeBron and
even Rondo's brother.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same.
So it's like, I don't know. It feels like the Lakers are clicking in all cylinders, and I also feel like they just like. It's like the Clippers losing took a monkey off their freaking shoulders. It's like, oh, everything feels so light now. We're like the only LA team here. We're the number 1 LA team. No one can question that now.
No, like I think they're really happy that they're playing the Nuggets instead of the Clippers. I could tell you right now because this is just a better matchup for them than the Clippers were. Because I thought the Clippers-Lakers, I was thinking 7 games if they were to play. But now with the Nuggets, it's like, it's a totally different thing now. And I think the Lakers know that, this could still be a tough series. But they have, it's freaking LeBron's on it. When you got LeBron on your team, you're always going to have a chance to go to the finals. And now he's got, Davis and all those other guys around him. So, yeah, I think the Lakers, not only they're in a collision course, to the finals right now, but, man, they look like the favorites to win it all. I think, of course, the Celtics Heat, whatever happens out of that series, they definitely have a chance. But, Lakers are looking really good right now. So we'll see how it is the rest of the series. But game 1, if that's any indication, this could be a difficult series for the Nuggets. Yeah. A very difficult one.
So before we move on to the next topic, let me go back to what you answered earlier. How does a guy who shoots 49% in a series need to do better? When he averages 25 points a game almost. You got 24, and you got 2 other 24-game scorers. He could have been better.
That's
not good enough.
No, I think you can.
Well, the thing is, it's not
Charlotte,
the playoffs.
Here he has 2 other scorers who average 20 points a game.
Yeah, but
you have to look at the statistics in the quarter. What quarter is he making those points? Because it looks at the end of the game that Tatum.
In that series against the Philly, he was averaging those points almost in the 4th quarter.
He was stepping up in the 4th quarter.
I get that. I totally get that now, but we're talking about the current series right now.
No, I know.
And in the current series, I told him earlier. Kemba is disappearing in the 4th.
Yeah, I know.
And it seems like the whole offense is like, Tatum centered offense. Yeah. Every last 6 possessions of the game is like Jason Tatum has to shoot the ball.
Yeah. But what we said earlier was that it's like he mentioned that round 1 and round 2 he wasn't good. I told him round 2 he wasn't good, but round 1 he was averaging 24 points a game with 49% shooting. And he told me he could have been better. Yeah, when he has 2 other 20 per game scorers.
Well, because
what else can you ask for the guy?
Because I'm saying we've seen Kemba play better than that.
Okay, we've seen that.
We've seen him put up 100 points in 2 games.
In Charlotte,
yeah. Why can't he do that now?
Because in Charlotte he didn't have another 20 per game scores.
That doesn't mean he can't score.
Yes, he can. Points. Yes, it means he's gonna have the ball less time.
All right.
If he has the ball more time, he's gonna score more. Don't you guys think?
No, it's just I think he's still capable of putting up games like that.
Do you guys think?
I still have yet to see a Kemba Walker game where he puts up 30 or 40 and he dominates. He hasn't had that game
32
yet.
points.
I mean, okay, that's good. That's good, but it's
That's
like
when
that, I'll say it. Okay, that's one.
When you got
every other game, it's just like I feel like he's accomplished. He's capable of better. Okay, because last year you saw what he did with the Hornets. He dominated, and I feel like that Kemba Walker can show up in any of these games, and if he does, the Celtics can beat anyone. They can win any game if Kemba plays like that.
We should have a sideshow.
There's a
difference of Josiah trashing Robert's team.
You're gonna score less.
Whoa. What did you say, Brian?
We should have a sideshow of Josiah just trashing Robert's teams, just to see Robert's face just squirm.
I'm not even
Here's my thing.
Squirming like
it's just wait. Okay, of course he's guys. Of course he's gonna score more when he has less good players on his team. When he has other 20 per game scorers, obviously he's gonna do less, right?
But no,
they're gonna have the ball less time,
dude.
He's gonna have the ball less time.
But
Jason Tatum controls the ball the most.
It's funny because all year you've been complaining about how Kemba's been playing. So it's like,
well, I'm but in that series, I'm defending him because he was good, and you said he could have been better, but no because he's got another 20 per game scorers.
I never said he was okay. You were right in that he was good in the first series, but I'm just saying I know he's capable of more than that. I know he can put up 30 a game.
Okay, it's just the thing as I mentioned, and you said he could have been better. It was like, how can you be better than what he did?
He could have been. He was good, but I know he can do more. That's just my
when he's got other. When he doesn't have a team like he had in Charlotte,
Charlotte
sucked. Charlotte sucked. We're talking about Boston, the second best team in the East, third best team because Toronto.
Okay, but it doesn't matter. He's Kemba Walker. He can still put up 40 points in a game, and I'm waiting for. I want to see that Kemba. Am I wrong in thinking that Kemba can be better? Because we saw last year. Remember what he did last year? There was a span of the season last year where he had won 2 games. He put up 100 points in 2 freaking games. That Kemba Walker is still there, I know.
It's there. It's just a different team. You change when you go to a team where you have the ball less time.
You keep saying the same. I get it, dude.
Then it's different. Then it's different because you have the ball less time. You're not going to do the same things you did on a shitty team.
All right. What's the next topic? What's the next topic?
I know because you're wrong.
I agree with Robert.
I unfortunately do too.
So I wanted to go by this real quick. So. Man, my God, that Clippers choke job was horrible. It was terrible. So where do the Clippers go from here?
Well, I think, as far as where do they go, I think the same core of players, I feel like they're good where they're at as far as their core of players. I honestly feel like that they didn't do well because now, George had his ups and downs in the playoffs, but their bench just didn't produce the way that they usually did, throughout the course of this season. And, usually last season, Lou Williams and Montrezl Harrell never really got up to speed. They never got their rhythm going. I feel like if, Williams wasn't an idiot and went out clubbing, and if Montrezl Harrell, Montrezl Harrell's thing was just, it's a personal issue. I think had those things not happened, we wouldn't be talking about this right now. I feel like those two would have been, because remember, throughout the regular season, they were both candidates for 6th man of the year because they were consistent 20-point scorers off the bench. They didn't play like that. And that was a big reason why they just kind of fell off. And I think because of the fact that they kind of took their opponents for granted, I also feel like, with the Nuggets and with, the Mavericks. The Mavericks was kind of an interesting series. But with the Nuggets, they probably felt like, oh, yeah, we got this. We're going to beat them. It doesn't matter. And I just felt like in games, 5 and 6 of that series, they were just coasting. And, they couldn't hold leads. It's just like, I wouldn't sit here and tell you that the team should think about breaking it up because it's 1 year with this nucleus, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard. So getting rid of those guys or making any moves just sounds foolish right now. I think as far as talent-wise, I think they're fine. I honestly don't really know, if they need to make any major changes. I just feel like they need to give it another year. This was a weird year, Let's keep that in mind. This was a weird year. Had the pandemic not happened, the Clippers before this, all the pandemic started, they looked really good. They looked like a title contender. I think I mentioned this already. The pandemic, well, it was more so the Bucks, but I think the pandemic kind of changed things for certain teams, just changed things for those contenders. And the Clippers just didn't look the same. They didn't look as dominant. I feel like with a full season under their belt, I think they'll be right back where they were this year, and they could very well be winning a title next year. So I don't think there's many changes they need to make, in my opinion.
So the question was, where do the Clippers go from here? They go to LA. They leave Orlando and they go to Los Angeles to their homes. They got eliminated.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not. I don't
Pat
wanna-
Beverly. Pat Beverly.
Well, actually,
this-
they're going to They're going to
Handshake
Cancun.
goodbye.
They're going to Cancun.
What?
They're going to Cancun, according to Damian Lillard.
Oh, totally. I mean, who knows? Hopefully no one gets corona. Hopefully the only coronas they get are beers from the hotel. That's all inclusive.
Nah, given the chemistry, I'm sure they would all love being together in Cancun, talking to each other about who to blame about this defeat. I mean, like, yeah, I get the idea that they have all the talent in the world that's needed to win a championship. And I mean, it's true, and especially on paper, it's definitely true. But I would not blame a Los Angeles Clippers fan, however many there are. There are quite a few actually. Like I guess in the county of LA, the Lakers are very popular in the city of LA, but in Los Angeles County, apparently there are quite a few Clippers fans. I would not blame them after the end of that game if they just were like, if they felt completely done with the way this was going, because to have 3 straight games like that and to blow them all, like I remember Game 6 was, I believe, it was last Sunday. It was during a football Sunday. So nobody was like, we weren't paying attention to it. And all of a sudden I saw, oh my God, the Nuggets are on like a 20-4 run. I don't know. They can win next year. They can. They have all the talent to do it. But then again, you have Paul George, who last year basically said, immediately, a quote from him, immediately we expected to come in and win it all. We don't have to know each other. Like, this is going to take a year for us to get to know each other. He said year 1 that they can go win a championship. And then right after Game 7, he said this year was never going to be championship or bust for us. Are people watching Mahomes? People watching?
No, I just watched
Penalty.
freaking Harrison Butker. Oh
Well,
my
no,
God.
I'm watching a penalty that just made the field goal for the Kansas City Chiefs game a little bit
You're
farther.
behind. But
Because I'm on a stream right now, and it's not going great. So
Well,
I'm
let Brian see it, and then you're gonna explain.
Oh yeah, I don't know. Right now, I'm watching on Red Zone, so it's in
Oh.
the Red Zone break. But yeah, real quick. Just after Seth's thoughts. I mean, the Clippers, they don't need. I don't know what pieces they can add because they have all the pieces that they have. I think maybe they could get a little younger. That's like at least a little bit. I mean, I don't see like Patrick Beverly to me was really the player that disappointed me also in the bubble, this whole thing, but he was injured. So, I mean, you can't really blame him. So, there, the kicker just made it. Great. Good for Kansas City. They're putting
Harrison
him behind the
Butker.
whole game.
Harrison Butker, he has a name.
Harrison Butker.
Yeah, but this is a good game for the Chargers. I mean, Herbert's first game, and they take it to overtime against the Chiefs. That's pretty good. They should feel good about themselves.
Yeah, back to what you were saying, Brian.
moral victory.
I mean, I really can't see much except they get younger. They have a lot of talent, and they have to see what they're going to do with their backup point guard situation because they have 2 backup point guards and they can't lock them both up. So I don't see Reggie Jackson staying.
No, but I was going to say, I think the point guard position is the one they need to address the most, if they need to address one. There's a player on that team who barely played that much, but I think next year they might use him a lot, and that's Terrence Mann. I'm a really big fan of Terrence Mann, and we've seen how teams have been able to develop some players, and I feel he has potential there, that he could be a real good point guard for them. So,
what about Fianu Cavangeli? He didn't play
but
at all the whole season.
point guard. He's like
I mean,
power forward.
Well, Mann's more like a wing guy. I mean, he handles the ball, but you're saying they should address the point guard position?
A little bit, yeah.
Why?
Because I feel like that's the position that's lacking the most.
Patrick Beverly?
I mean,
What
Patrick
about-
Beverly is a good defender. He doesn't give you that much else.
I mean, he's not really their point guard. Kawhi like handles
Sure,
the ball
it's
more than
exactly.
that team.
But I feel like you need a ball handler. Here's the thing. I feel like you need a ball handler because they struggled a bit in that department and the way they moved the ball, I think. And what's one thing LeBron wanted that year after they won the championship and players were injured? He wanted a point guard, right? And I feel like that's what they're lacking, a point guard.
I don't know because
The year after Kyrie left, my bad. They needed a point guard, and
I don't know if they need it. I don't know if they need anything. That's just the way I look at it. I think what they could use is more youth. You said that, Brian, but Cavangeli and Mann didn't play that much this year. They could play more next year. So there's the youth right there.
But that's what I mean. Man's need a point guard.
But
No, they're not going to put him as their
that's
starting.
what I mean. I mean, they have to use that. And Reggie Jackson, I don't see Reggie Jackson staying because he's too talented. He's going to demand too much money, and they don't really need him because they need to give more minutes to younger players, I think, to develop because they really need. I think they need to develop. I somewhat agree a little bit with Robert. Somewhat develop a talent that might be better than Patrick Beverley to make that position better. But I don't really think that they should be searching that much into we need to find the prototypical point guard right now. And especially because teams aren't even using point guards anymore. Point guard's a dying position, sadly, because a lot of teams are going positionless basketball and shooting guards are bringing the ball down, and it's weird.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's just like they have Lou Williams, who's another ball handler on that team, which if they wanted to, move him into the starting lineup, but it's I know they probably want to keep him as that sixth man, as that spark off the bench. I mean, I understand it, but it's I don't feel like they really need to add anybody. If they do, I mean, they lose Jackson, okay, maybe they add one body or somebody, but it's I feel like with in-house, they can make improvements because of Cavangeli. So I think I think they're good. I think coaching wise, they're in a good spot. Front office wise, it's just, they just choked. I mean, it's just I don't really think that, and it's 1 year that they've worked with this team. So I just think, maybe they add a player, but they're going to keep pretty much the same team.
Yeah, it's just
year.
the thing that I think is why they got to develop is because their cap space has to be breaking out. So they probably can't get another player.
Is it? I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not,
All right,
I'm not
here's the last thing. If they don't win it next year, do they blow it up? Is it goodbye Doc Rivers?
Well, the thing is, they're free agents though. Kawhi's a free agent, and Paul George is a free agent.
I mean,
So they could blow it up.
you know what? If next year, if they come up short next year, I think it should be the end of Doc Rivers. As much as that would pain me to say, because I think he's done a really good job with this team, but he's been coaching that team for a while, and they've never made it to the finals. Now, it's not entirely his fault because early years, they had injuries. They got bad luck with Chris Paul and Blake Griffin. This year was pretty much on him and that team. So, yeah, next year's there's going to be a lot of pressure on that team going into next year. Can they deliver? Can they make up for – because this choke of a series they had, they will never be able to –
It's kind of unacceptable. It's really unacceptable.
They will never be able to live that down until they get over the hump.
And it's also next year.
They're going to get ridiculed and joked about, and they're going to have to listen to that until they get back next year.
And next year, it's not like teams are going to get easier. I mean, the Mavericks are going to be a year older, and I feel like they're going to be harder to beat. The Nuggets are going to be a year older, and they're going to be harder to beat. The Lakers are the Lakers. And, yeah, I mean.
Warriors going to get Stephen Clay back,
Yeah, and they're going to get a top pick unless they trade him and make some other huge splash of a player.
The Suns could take that next step next year. The West is not getting any easier.
So, my bad. Paul George is free into 2022, but Kawhi, his 3-year contract, he has an opt-out next year. So, the opt-out is big for next year if nothing happens.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Also, Paul George saying that, they weren't expected to win it. They weren't their hopes wasn't to win a championship. Come on, man. Just stop it. That is the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
I've heard dumb.
I don't know if you guys saw it, but you remember
that's
that
the biggest excuse since falling in love with a stripper and leaving Doc Rivers' daughter behind.
By the way, Seth Curry posted a photo the other day of his wife and his anniversary, and I posted on Instagram another Paul George miss. No,
Good one.
So guys know that commercial Paul George at the Gatorade commercial they used to have.
Oh
And it was
God,
like,
that's the one who put it right before he missed a game-winning shot game. It was against the Cavs, I think, too. That was beautiful.
Yeah, so they edited that and put the shot where he hits the backboard. Ball game, he hits the backboard. But let's move on to the last NBA topic. And I think it's a pretty interesting one because I want to hear you guys' thoughts on it. So we saw, I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago, Giannis won the MVP. So he's won the MVP and the Defensive Player of the Year. Only 3 players have done that before. I think it's Jordan and who's there? I don't know. Hakeem, I think it was.
Yeah, Jordan Hakeem.
Yeah.
The GOAT, sorry. Not just its correct name is the GOAT.
Hakeem, the GOAT. Yeah.
Hakeem and the GOAT.
No, Hakeem, the GOAT. Okay, so the thing is, the other day after the press conference, they asked LeBron how he felt about it, and he said he was pissed. So my question to you guys was, is LeBron right to be pissed about the MVP voting? And my question is not about him winning the MVP. It's just how many votes he got for it.
Okay, well, I mean, first of all, I think he did preface and say that he was fine, like he wasn't like overly like upset about it. But as far as being ticked off, it's justified. I mean, he was absolutely a candidate, to win it this year. I thought the votes that he got were way less than they should have been. Mm-hmm. Definitely should have gotten more votes. I agree with Giannis the MVP, and I think he was definitely the MVP. But LeBron will always be a candidate every single year, and this year he was definitely right there because of how well the Lakers have played this year. His assists, his passing has been, I think, as good this year as any year in his career. So he absolutely had a justification for being mad about it. And I think I like that he took it personally because I think that'll give him motivation for not next year, this year. Yeah. Trying to get it done this year, win a title, do it for Kobe. I think, I totally get it. I totally get it. And, as much as I, don't like LeBron James, he is unbelievable. He is still one of the best players there is. He is one of the best players I've watched best players of our generation. One of the best players I've ever watched. I never got the privilege to watch Michael Jordan play. LeBron James is. Oh, sorry. My computer. I was making noises. Okay, we're figuring it. Oh, Robert almost dropped his controller. Wow. Just close it out. But yeah, as I was saying, LeBron has a right to be upset. I get it. I do understand it.
I am totally with LeBron. I mean, just the fact that he had so little first place votes, it's kind of weird. It's also kind of weird that you can't take into account the bubble, like towards the end, because you have like those regular season playing games that like I think they should have taken into the account for these awards. And his assist numbers were up. I mean, it's very possible for him to be an MVP. Like it's not like it wouldn't surprise people if all of a sudden it was LeBron and not Giannis. It wouldn't be like a big surprise.
It wouldn't be, but I would have kind of been against it, though. I still feel like Giannis was the MVP, but LeBron was absolutely a candidate. But I mean, think...
what about the year that Karl Malone won it and MJ? It felt MJ should have won it, like all those times that they didn't give it to MJ, and it almost feels like LeBron is like it's almost like
Kobe, or the year Steve Nash won it and Kobe should have,
or the year AI won it and Shaq felt like he should have won it. So
Shaq had better stats.
Yeah, but it's like why do we? Stats. It's almost like there's this handicap with like the best player in the NBA that can never win the MVP. Like, I mean, it's weird, and I'm sad for LeBron because it just showed that he like gave it his all this year. At how old is he now? 30 what?
35, I think.
Going to 36 in December.
Yeah. So I mean, how like it's hard, man. Those years they like climb on your back, and it hurts a little bit more. So like I don't know how many more MVP caliber seasons he has, and I bet he wants one more MVP trophy. I can see it in him.
Oh, yeah,
he wants one more MVP trophy before he retires, and maybe we'll see it. Even with all this talent that's coming.
I think he will. I think he definitely will. It's not that I think next year. I mean, I think he absolutely will. I can see it.
I mean, I could also see the Lakers just being so dominant next year.
Wait, Seth, what was that face? I thought you liked LeBron.
I mean, the last time he won it was what, 7 years ago? So you're saying it's a lock. You could say, oh, absolutely think he's going to win it next.
I'm saying it's a lock right now. Yes.
Okay.
James, hold on, Seth.
Okay.
Seth, keep in mind, every year he's been a candidate, except for last year. I mean, they were terrible, but every year he's been a candidate. So it's like, why can't he win one? If he's been a candidate every year, he's had a chance to win it every single season. That's why I just think one of these years he's going to get it.
I wouldn't put him as a favorite. He's going to be another year older. He's going to be what? He's going to be 36. So I mean,
I'm not saying he's the favorite.
What?
But I'm saying that I think that he'll definitely get one. I'm not saying that he's the favorite, but I'm saying like I think that if it's not next year, it could be any of these next few years that he'll get one. I think
2 years from now,
it's a feeling I have.
Okay, you got to remember that MJ was 35 when he hit that last shot with the Bulls. I mean, and then when he came back with the Wizards, he started out at 38, and he did not play as nearly much basketball as LeBron did. So you look at what Kobe was when he was 30.
Yeah. LeBron's got more miles.
But LeBron's 35 right now, and he league in assists. So how come you think he's going to falter like really bad?
Yeah, I do think he's going to fall off. Yeah, I think he's going to fall off because when you're in your 18th or 19th full season, that happens. Kobe fell off.
You know what? I don't think he falls off until he's 38. Actually, I still think he averages 39. He averages 27 and 7.
I think he'll fall off because of injury, like Kobe did.
LeBron's never been a guy with that like injury problems before.
Well, he injured himself last year.
Yeah.
And it's like it's always like a first time for everything.
Mm-hmm. It comes with age.
Okay, here's the thing: you do what teams are doing now, and you give him that rest for a couple games, and then you play him whenever games are necessary.
Yeah, that hurts
exactly what's that.
I don't care if I don't care if it hurts his chances of getting the MVP. I just want him to keep playing at a level.
Well, we're talking about
I completely agree with you because right now.
Well, next year. If it's not next year, then I don't know when.
Yeah, no.
And here's the thing. Yes, I think he was.
Guys, gotta talk one at a time. Wait. Seth was trying to say that.
So first off, I want to say I agree with Robert. I want him to chase championships more than I want him to chase MVPs. I think that's the more important thing for him right now. But generally, like to get back to the main point, and it's funny because I have two kind of contradictory thoughts on this. Number one, I mean, I kind of rolled my eyes at it because I just do not get the idea of saying, okay, like you, Josiah, like you're saying that Giannis should have been the MVP. If you had a vote, he would have been the MVP, right? You would have picked him number one. But LeBron should have gotten more than 16 votes. So more than 16 people should have disagreed with you, and you would have called them wrong. You would have said, no, I think you're wrong. I think it should have been Giannis. But you think more than 16 people should have said that you were wrong and picked LeBron as the number one choice.
Yes, because I thought I was shocked to know that it was that low. I expected it to be higher than that because LeBron has been a candidate all year, and there are people that were saying that he could win it. I would have been okay with that because I just felt like I was expecting way more than 16. I mean, 16 just felt so low to me. I just feel like it's kind of an insult to LeBron, to be honest.
I mean, but
I think it's more impressive because he did it at his age.
I completely agree, but if everybody agreed with Josiah that Giannis was the MVP, it would be 101-0 or however many. Yeah, 101-0.
Well, I wouldn't respect that it was unanimous.
Yeah, I wouldn't respect that. I'm just saying that I think Giannis is a clear MVP, but LeBron was absolutely right behind him. But I just like
and he finished second. That's the thing. He finished second.
I'm also just shocked. I'm shocked because the media was all saying that LeBron had a like legit shot to win, that he might just win it this year. And then there's just only 16 votes for him. So that just kind of threw me off a little bit. Like I would have understood it, and it would have made more sense if he got more votes. Number one, because he had a really good year, and he was an MVP. Number two, he's LeBron James. He's always a chance to win MVP. So yeah, I would have been okay with more than 16 votes, but I still would have said Giannis. So
yeah, but I
mean,
is that
not am I not allowed to think that?
No, you're allowed to think that.
No. I'm just saying that if you think that Giannis is your clear choice, I don't know how you can be like say it was wrong or LeBron should be pissed off because not more people disagreed with you. Also, I will say this. Let me say this though. On the other hand, while I feel that way, what I think LeBron's doing, I don't know if it's actually completely rational that he should be upset. But what he's doing is he's trying to find motivation any way he can find it. If this is the thing that he can go after, that can make him go harder, can make him feel like the in the MJ doc, that famous line, and MJ felt this about everything. Something happened and it became personal to him. It's a lot easier to do something when something is personal to you. And that's what LeBron's doing. In that sense, I respect it because like he's trying to get himself pumped up. On the other hand, I kind of roll my eyes because I'm like, yeah, but like you're upset you didn't get more first place votes, and then you say not taking anything away from Giannis. It kind of sounds like you are a little bit, but that's just my view.
Well, why is it not completely rational for him to be upset about that?
Okay, it's rational if he thinks he is the MVP, but if and for the record, I think he's the playoff MVP. When it comes to time for playoff, he's the best player in basketball. But for a full season, I think it was Giannis. And you have to ask LeBron, okay, who would you have picked? Would you have picked yourself or would you have picked Giannis? And if he says Giannis, then it's kind of weird to say that more people should have disagreed with you and picked you over the other person.
Yeah. So isn't the NBA right
Whoa.
Uh-oh.
Brian. We just lost. Timer's the host.
Timer's the host?
Timer's the host now. We just lost
Brian.
Brian.
Can you hear us through Timer?
Brian! Oh, God. What happened?
Timer. Oh, good God.
Oh, well, hopefully you can get back.
Maybe
All right.
you got Bad Bunny.
Did you guys?
He doesn't like Bad Bunny.
Did we want to say anything else on that, or?
I think we said our piece.
Okay. What do we have next then?
By the way, something that I saw. Okay,
Brian's
coming in now.
Brian's coming back, guys.
Yes. Something I wanted to mention was that I saw John Morant. I don't know if you guys saw it, but there was like one person who didn't vote him. Like he was gonna be unanimous by one vote.
And he tweeted that.
He tweeted it out and he said, "Thank you."
That's funny. I like that. I like that a lot.
So,
I like Ja.
by the way, from Chicago sometimes. So I don't know what's happening, but
Kobe White was probably
get your reporters being better.
Hey, I tell you right now, Kobe should have been Rookie of the Year. Got snubbed, man. I'm telling you.
Okay, went on to the MLB. Let's go quick to the MLB so we can go to NFL, college, and all that. So first topic of the MLB is, so last week we talked about like playoff scenarios and all that, and what they were doing, and they were going to play in California and in Texas. So the thing was, we mentioned something wrong, and it was that the teams from the NL are going to play in Texas, and the teams from the American League are going to play in California. So what do you guys think about this?
Yeah. So, at first when I heard that, I was like, that's weird. Why would you not have, NL teams in California and the AL teams in Texas? I was like, why? The more I thought about it, though, eventually it hit me. It makes a lot of sense because you don't want to have the NL teams potentially playing in a stadium in which they could have home field advantage, despite the fact that they're not going to have fans. They do this to avoid the Padres playing at their park, the Dodgers playing at their park, the Astros playing at theirs. So that makes a lot of sense. And they want to really get like the neutral site feel. They don't want to give anybody an advantage. They want to make sure each team has an even stake, and even if it was flipped, it could still work out. But it makes a lot of sense because they want to eliminate any type of advantage. And I like that a lot. And it really gives us a different feel. And it's just so like, just the more I think about it, it's just like, it's crazy. Because this feels just so much like, this is like March Madness, but baseball. It's like now you're playing in a different venue and there's teams playing all there. It's like, I like it. I think it's super interesting. I think we're going to have like really interesting, fun series happening there. But yeah, the idea of having the NL in Texas, the AL in California, it makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah. So, I'll go. I completely agree with you, Josiah. In Major League Baseball, you do not want in the playoffs for one team to have home field advantage the entire time. Now you could say it's kind of unfair for teams like the Dodgers because they won so much more than everybody else and they don't have any home field advantage whatsoever. But I still think having no home field advantage for anybody is a better compromise than having one team have complete home field advantage. Baseball is the only major sport where the home field advantage doesn't come as much from the fans, but it comes from like the actual way the playing surface is. Because like in basketball, football, everything's the same dimensions. But in baseball, the people who play on the field every day, they learn about their ballpark. They know and understand their ballpark in a way that the visitors just simply don't. So it would be a pretty big advantage, and I'm glad to see. I agree with Josiah. I think the way they ended up working this out is the best way to do it. Props for Rob Manfred.
I thought that this was the problem.
Very few times we give props to Rob Manfred.
Exactly. Got to do it when you can because it happens so rarely.
But is it really like props? Because isn't it obvious? Isn't it an obvious thing to like not have neutral stadium for like everybody? Isn't that like an obvious thing that should happen?
I don't think it's as obvious as you think. I feel like so because honestly, I didn't really look at it that way at first when I read about it, but I had to like think about it more to figure it out. I mean, I feel like Rob Manfred deserves a little bit of credit. I'm not gonna say, oh yeah, he's absolutely like amazing, but like it was smart thinking. I don't know.
I mean, yeah, sure, but great. The MLB has playoffs and they're neutral. I mean, I have not much to say about it because I think that it was obvious to like make it a neutral thing. I think that maybe someone might be against it, and it's the next person who talks, which might be Robert, because his like LA Dodgers are the one who's gonna receive the brunt of like the whole entire thing. So I don't know, Robert. I'm more interested to think about what you think than what I think. So let's see what you say.
I mean, when I read it, I thought it was weird, but considering what you guys said, I'm not gonna lean towards your guys' decision, but I understand what you guys are saying, and I'm like, okay, this is cool, this is different, and all that. But as you said, that dimensions thing and like knowing your field and all that, that's important. So I feel like I'm gonna lean more towards like, if you got the good record, you got the best record, you're gonna get a home field advantage, and you deserve it. You deserve to be at home. Like, and it's also not that, is that the players are gonna be in a different state, and for a while, like they will feel more comfortable to be at home, wouldn't they? So that also comes into effect, especially for a baseball player, when it's a mental game. So,
but I would say with regular home field advantage, like if you have a 5-game series, get 3 of those games at home, it's 60-40. So having it like 50-50 because there literally is no advantage is a lot closer to the regular 60-40, or in a 7-game series, it's even less. It's 4 out of 7. So whatever that'd be, 57% of the time, than making it literally 100 versus 0.
Yeah. Hey, but you got to get home court advantage. I mean, the cutouts are really important. Like,
as long as nobody gets decapitated.
Yeah.
Hey, wouldn't it be awesome though that like the Dodgers will be like playing playoffs games in like Astros Stadium?
Oh my God, that would be.
Wait a minute. I think Robert raises a good point though. Even if the game's at the Astros Stadium, the Dodgers should, for their home games, get their own cardboard cutouts, and they should get their own trash can.
Yeah, I mean, they should be allowed to use trash cans.
Yeah.
Yes, here come the jokes. No, okay. So Robert, you brought up a point about, knowing your turf, knowing your field. Does that not though give you an advantage?
Yeah, but it does. Well, we've seen it before. That's the point. That's the point of it. Yeah, that's the point of home field advantage. Like if having a good record, if you have a good record, you get home field advantage, and it's been like that in almost every sport. So why would you change it though?
Because only the Dodgers really benefit from that.
No,
because
other
the
teams
Astros are not going to get the best record. I don't.
The Astros, I don't think get out of the first round. We just heard
the Rangers might not even probably won't make the playoffs. So I don't know if that's fair at all.
Okay, I'm just saying like when it's a mental game, you feel comfortable with certain things, And when you might feel more comfortable at playing at home at that ballpark than playing at another ballpark. There's
But
players.
here's the thing: we're talking about bubbles.
Home
We're not
ballpark.
talking about ballparks. We're talking about bubbles. And bubbles is that you're requiring players to stay within this specific area and region for a long period of time.
Exactly.
And
That's also mental. That's also affects the mental.
Of course it's mental. And because it's mental, the fact that like then the Dodgers would have such a big mental advantage, and fine, they have the best record, but the Astros might make the playoffs and they wouldn't have the best record. You want to benefit the Astros, the cheating Astros? That's who you want to benefit, my friend?
I
Look
just
at
want to keep it how it
Look,
was.
you just change your ways.
I just
my
want to keep it
gosh.
how it was.
But there's no way to keep it
Would
as
you
it
really
was.
be okay with it? Would you really be okay if the Astros have the best record right now and they got to play at home for the entirety? Would you be okay with that?
If they would be able to play at
Their stadium.
yeah, I'd be okay with that.
I'm not.
The
fine.
They
thing
don't
is-
have they don't have fans.
I'm not.
the thing
What's gonna
is,
happen?
though,
They can't use the trash cans anymore. The
but-
sound there is everybody's gonna hear it.
I'm just.
we
not-
obviously
I
can't.
wouldn't because
I was just
Yeah,
gonna
go,
say, we
Seth.
obviously can't have a regular scenario. We can't have a best of 5 series because of the bubble where 3 games are played one place, 2 games are played the other place. Robert's saying that teams who have the better record get home field, and that's the way it is in basically every sport: home field, home court, home ice, whatever. That's true, but there's literally no sport that has like a 5 or 7 game series that I know of where every single game goes in the home stadium, the home arena, whatever, of the team with the better record. If it's 50-50, that to me is so much more fair than 100-0 when it's usually like 60-40.
That's why the NBA just had Orlando. Although the Magic, you could say maybe had an advantage, but they didn't win their series, so it had no impact. But that makes more sense. That
And
makes
they
And not
didn't
even
have
playing
it.
at the home arena.
Yeah, exactly. They didn't play in their home arena.
You can't give one team an advantage. That's just
Here's the thing, though.
It just-
Here's the thing.
but
I
the
can
thing
see. I can see Robert's argument. I can see Robert's side of the argument. If it's the top like place team, like the top seeded team, and it's fine. But it's not that you play all home games because, anyways, they're alternating between 2 stadiums here. Like it's not like we're like asking them to play all their games at
Well,
the,
they're going to play all the games in a series in the same stadium.
Really?
I think so. I mean, it'd be dumb for me to change the scenario there.
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Yeah, fine. But they could have alternated to
Here's my
fit
thing. I
that
don't know why
scenario.
you guys are against it because it's always been like it. You get
No,
you-
but
We're
you-
against it
you-
because
but
it's a
this is
bubble.
Different
No,
time.
there's
a
nothing
bubble.
different. What is different?
What are you talking?
What
What
is
is different?
What is different about getting
It's a
more?
pandemic. There's a bubble.
No, but
Okay, for more point, they should
What
stay
are
in the
you-
same state.
What are you talking about, dude?
okay,
Come
what
on.
if the
It's
Bucks
a
and the Celtics
bubble.
are playing in a series? What if the Bucks and the Celtics are playing in a series? Bucks have home court advantage, so we're just gonna play all 7 games in Milwaukee.
Okay, then play all the games in Milwaukee.
Go stop.
No!
You're absolutely in a
It's
problem.
the same thing because basically,
No, it's not.
if they had
Stop yelling. All right, we can address this a little bit better than shouting, please.
it's the same thing
It's not
because you don't have fans.
It's not the
You don't
same.
have fans.
It's not.
Yes, but in
There's
baseball,
a difference in baseball, like you said. The dimensions, how you feel about being there. It's the same. It's a one court. It's never gonna change.
It's not the same thing, dude. It's really not. And it's just like this is a year where you have teams that are worried about traveling so much. They made this just so that they can make it fair for every team and that they're not having to travel so much. And
I don't
just
think it's fair.
And
for-
you
I don't-
think it's okay?
I will
for
say
Dodgers
this.
to be able to
Let
have
me
that.
say this.
If you're gonna give it, no, hold on. If you're gonna give that advantage to Dodgers, you might as well give it.
they earned that record, so they deserve to be there. They earned that record. Why would I get the third best record in the AL Center who's probably going to make the playoffs? The home field advantage.
I just don't. You can't only be for you.
Wait, if they're playing
It
the
should because it's always been like that.
California,
It's
then
always
no.
been
No,
like
it
that.
hasn't.
But-
It has
but-
to be
but
one
wait.
team is to play at home.
Let me say this.
Yes, what you get the home field advantage the first couple games.
Let me say this.
Not-
This is unfair to teams like the Dodgers. That's true because
You earned it. So you get
the way that it's always worked is in a 5-game series, you get 3 games at home, and that's not the way it's going to be this year. And that sucks for the teams that have earned the right to home field because they've had the best record. But we're not choosing from perfect scenarios. We're choosing from imperfect scenarios. And the idea where it's 50-50 makes a lot more sense to me. It's a lot closer to the way it usually is than it being 100-0.
Yeah. It's definitely we're talking about the Dodgers playing every game of their series at their stadium. How is that the same as playing 3 games there, 2 games in? That's not the same at all. It's completely different.
I still think if you get the record, you get home field advantage.
All I'm more interested. Hey, if they do it, do you think that they'll do like a Thunderdome thing of fans, like the NBA is with all the fans like looking like with the screens? I would totally go for that for playoff baseball.
It's a little harder to do in baseball, though. I think,
Yeah, bigger stadium, much bigger stadium.
Well,
like stadiums like this, the NBA is using fucking.
You could put it behind home plate. Just take a look at it. Oh no, too distracted for the pitcher. Too distracted for the pitcher.
If the games are at Dodger Stadium, though, I want celebrities. I want Larry King. I want to see Larry King in the first row, virtually watching the Dodgers.
I want to see George Lopez.
Vince Scully, get him in the front row, man.
Yeah. So moving on, talking about another rule in baseball. So something that we saw this year implemented was the DH rule in the National League. So, do you guys think the National League would keep the DH, or we're going back?
No.
I'm gonna say.
And here's the question: Do you prefer staying with it?
I'm gonna say they won't, but I think they should.
No.
I know, Brian. We know your opinion on this, but let me get this out real quick. So, I mean, this year I feel like it's worked pretty well. It gives, teams in the NL opportunity to get more offense. I know some people like to have their pitchers. There are pitchers out there that ring. There is no doubt about it. We know that. But I like the idea of having a DH in there to get more hitters in the lineup, more offensive players in there. Okay. And I think it's worked pretty well this year. And I've always been a person that has wanted that for years in the NL. And I'm glad they added in this year, but something just tells me that they're going to stick to their guns from the previous years, and they're going to go back to the old ways and just have the pitchers bat. And if they do that, okay, whatever. But I feel like I prefer it. I like it a lot, and I think they should continue to do it forever. But other people say otherwise. So, especially Brian.
Purity of the game. That's where I'm going with this, and I feel like a lot of people feel me on this. Here's the thing. National League fans like the fact that they don't have the DH, I think. Because I'm sure, Josiah, you're saying that, but you're a White Sox fan. Am I wrong or am I right?
He's also a Cubs fan.
I also like the Cubs. But yes,
you're more generally a White Sox fan. So usually if you're brought up with an AL team, you're more like, more flex on the DH rule. And I understand the DH rule. It's awesome for video games. But the purity of the game, man, it's the coolest thing for me is watching an NL manager manage a game, because he has to somehow use his pinch hitters or somehow use how he's going to use his relief pitchers and pinch hitters in the game strategically. So offensively, it makes sense to maybe get a run in this inning. It totally adds another dimension in the game. And I don't like both leagues to have the same rules. I like the fact that the NL had that difference than the AL. And it totally changes the whole way of how the strategy of the games are being played. And it would suck, because in my opinion, it would make some playoff games in playoff baseball a little bit more boring, because you'd have a little less of that strategy that you're trying to see those coaches have. And I don't know, that maybe that's just me, but I like purity of the game, man. I want to see, it's not about pitchers batting. It's about how the coach is going to work around that. That's what I want to see. I want to see how he's going to use his bench. I want to see that the bench players are actually engaged in the game, because they could pinch hit at any moment for the pitcher. instead of, oh, it's just going to be a simple DH game, this one. I don't know.
I
Seth?
mean, yeah, this is one where I can see both sides well. I disagree with Josiah. Josiah, you said you think they'll stick to their guns. I think they're gonna go to this move permanently, just because I think we're at the point. I think we're at the point where MLB, like most other sports, they want everything to be the same for everybody. And I get Brian's argument. One of the things I love, like y'all know that college football is my favorite sport. What I love about college football is how different the conferences are. I love that Big Ten means something, SEC means something, Pac-12, ACC. They all have different meanings. So I do love the idea that in pro sports, where like every NFL team's designed to go 8-8, NBA teams are kind of the same. To have a difference between the two leagues, I do love that. But at the same time, I'm someone who likes offense. And I kind of like the DH having the ninth. I see what Brian's saying, and maybe because I'm not quite the purist, I don't watch baseball for the managing strategies like you do. I could see how that would add something to the game, but I want to have 9 players who like have a legitimate chance to get on base. I would prefer that. Also, I like having players who maybe are a little older, old superstars who can't really field every day anymore, but still at 38 or 39, you want to watch them play. You want to watch them take at bats because they're like the legends of the game. And these guys often end up on AL teams because they can end up on NL teams because they know that they'll have to play a position. I like having all those aspects there. I think I prefer generally AL baseball, and I get what Brian's saying. I think it's a legitimate argument, but I would keep the DH.
As you can see, Robert's very into this conversation right now.
Yeah.
I mean, I already have my thought on it.
Then what is it? Tell
What
us
is your thought?
I like it. They keep it.
You guys are such pussies. Pardon my language.
But
Spotify.
Here's the thing.
Wow.
Before it happened, I didn't like it. Now I do like it. You see, I used to like it because it was fun seeing a pitcher get to bat and all that, and what could happen. But the other thing is, you're giving less of a probability of your team a chance to win the game. Now teams have the ability to win more games than before. What's that?
I mean, every team already, both teams.
I mean,
get the
before,
so
I think there's more of a like. Here's the thing. Let's say we're going to the 9th inning.
Okay.
And in the 9th inning, right now you have their DH, but before you had your pitcher, and in a crucial spot you have 2 guys on base. You really want to have you want to have a pitcher? We all want to.
Why you have pitch hitters?
Hitter, dude.
That's why you like. That's why they exist. You're killing the pitch hitter. You're killing them. They're dying.
You don't want to take your pitcher out.
They're going extinct.
Hey,
Give me a
guys.
second. Give me a second.
Guys, Jesus Christ.
Let's say
one at a time.
Let's say 6th inning. You don't want to take your pitcher out because your pitcher's batting pretty well, and you want to take the lead. You're gonna. There's a lot of managers.
And that's the
who
best
leave their
part
pitcher
of baseball.
And there's a lot of managers who leave their pitcher there, and they have less of an opportunity to score.
Here's my thing. It's like if you
Oh.
want to. Oh man, we just saw.
Oh, that's gonna be a pick 6.
6-6.
Wow, on the first drive.
First drive. I mean, but if you want your pitcher to, the thing is with the DH, if you want your pitcher to hit, he's good at the hit, then you put him at DH. You can do that.
Yeah, you can do that.
You're not. It's not like you're not allowed to do that.
They've done it
doesn't
before.
eliminate.
No one's gonna do that.
You can still have Michael Lorenzen, Madison Bumgarner, guys like that hit. You know,
But
it's
that's
like,
not what's gonna happen.
How do you
like,
know?
you know
How do you
that
know
that's-
a team's not, how do you know a team's not going to endorse that at some point? How do you know? You never know that.
Because it seems very highly unlikely, because it seems like also you see the advantage of like, oh, well, then I have my pitcher only focusing on pitching, and then he doesn't have to think about anything else in the game, which is also like the other side of the argument. Maybe like Robert's boy Kershaw might not have like blown so many games in the playoffs if he didn't have to hit.
Well, no, I think that is actually a good point because like it gives the pitcher just to have to focus on pitching and not have to get up there and hit. That's absolutely a factor, I think. But it's like the reason why it doesn't happen that much because there's not that many pitchers that consistently can hit.
Yeah.
That's why it doesn't happen that much. So it's like I think
it's fun. It's fun, but it doesn't really help you that much.
I think
here's
it
the
makes
thing.
perfect sense. I don't know.
But what you're arguing is like you're arguing it's fun. Well, yeah, fine. You can see both sides of the arguments of what's fun. What's fun for me is
I'm not saying that.
what's fun for me is the fact that fine that there's sacrifices that you have pitchers sacrifice bunts. How about sacrifice bunting? Like that, there's so many things, different aspects of the game that having the pitcher in the lineup brings.
I get the whole purity part,
There's
but
so-
I don't care about it.
Yeah.
I just I like the offense. I like the idea
and the thing is,
of having a DH, everybody having that opportunity and having.
We need more NL people here. You guys are all AL
the thing
people.
is,
I will say
there's
that
there's
I
just
endorse-
certain- What?
I was just going to say real quickly, I endorse a rule that whenever Bartolo Colon is pitching, that he has to bat. If
Yeah,
this
definitely.
that a
Yep,
official
the only player who's allowed to do that.
I'm good with
See,
that.
yeah, moments like that, you're taking away. You're killing those moments.
Yeah, but most of the time, those moments don't really help
Killing me.
Yeah, I don't
Killing
think
the game.
taking those moments away will not have a huge impact
Yeah.
on how it might have an impact. It probably will, but like it's not as big as really
Yeah.
as it would be.
And
I don't.
here's
I
another
like
thing.
the DH.
Here's
I think
another
it's,
thing.
I think it's better. I
And
just do.
before in the early, let's say in the 90s, what year was it that like the DH became in effect? Like in the 90s, right?
No, it was way before that, right?
Before that, I thought it was like when
I have no idea.
when Edgar started playing.
Oh, I thought it was.
Yeah,
I thought like
that was like 80s. It was before, yeah.
85,
It was
85,
Oh, I
before.
thought it was before
Look at
that.
the year. Look at the year. But my thing is, since the 2000s and on, there's a lot more players built to be DHs than position
Oh.
players.
1973. 73. Yeah.
Okay, wow.
Yeah,
So
you're a little off there. But
yeah. So the thing, but before, like the difference between then and now is there's more players better fitted to play DH than to play than there was before, because there's so many big guys and guys that actually have a knack and ability to hitting that they can't play the field that much either. There's, let's say, comparison, JD Martinez. There's a lot of players who are really good hitters, but they're not good position players, and that deprives you of the ability to win more.
And it's like I was saying, where you have older guys, like a lot of
Exactly.
these guys, these legends,
Yeah.
they can't play on NL teams. Like I remember Griffey, when Griffey got older, like we traded him to the Cubs, and then he ended his career where he started it with the Mariners. Maybe if he didn't have to play in the field, he could have stayed with the Reds. I mean, we probably still would have traded him. But basically, like all these legends who are like 40-something years old, or and who are you still want to watch them. They can't play for NL teams, or usually they don't, because they know it's not in their best interest.
And what's wrong with that? You could call the AL the retirement league.
Yeah, but if
Because
you're a
you
Reds fan-
guys, old people, go.
if you're a Reds fan, you want to watch those players. If you're a Mets fan, if you're a Dodgers fan,
Hey, Pete Rose only played in the National League. He played until really, really old.
that's true.
Okay, who cares
But-
about Pete Rose?
No.
Oh,
Pete Rose-
wow.
All
Wow.
right.
Okay.
Wait, what was
No.
that? What was that?
Said no one cares about Pete.
I don't.
Oh
You-
man,
you
People,
ruined his career.
some do.
He ruined his career about betting and all that during games.
Oh, with gambling, something that everyone does now, right?
Yeah,
Because
Well,
like it's
he
like
bet on his own
legal.
team.
and-
He bet on his own team.
I mean that's
But he
good.
never bet against his own team.
Exactly.
Still,
Okay. What's the next
Yeah, he
topic?
could have done it. He was still
Okay,
more
let's stop it.
more
Let's keep it
lying
short
for a
on
number of
this.
years.
So, you mentioned the Astros earlier, and this is very bad news for Houston. Houston has a real problem, and that is Verlander. Verlander is now out of the season. He hasn't been pitched since the first week of the season, and now he's out. So, what does this mean for the Astros?
Well, of course, people are going to say that it could be screwed. It could be done. I wouldn't go that far and say they're done because they still got a pretty good rotation. Zach Greinke, Lance McCullers, Framber Valdez, Jose or Kitty. That's still a pretty solid rotation right there. The problem has more so been because their offense is just not producing the level that they had before when they were cheating. So, that hasn't helped. But I'm not ready I'm not going to count them out because, this team is very talented. They have big enough names to where if they can get hot at the right time, who knows? So I'm not going to say, they're going to the World Series, but I'm not ready to call it over completely for the Astros. Now, what I will say is maybe now they're still okay, but I think more so long-term, this is an issue. Because you think about it, they're not going to have, because Tommy John surgery, he's going to miss next year. And, George Springer, Michael Brantley, Yuli Gurriel, Josh Reddick, they're all going to be free agents. Eventually, they're going to have more free agents. So it's like, this could be interesting in the next few years for them. This could be the end of an era for this team. It could be. And I'm not saying it will. I'm not saying it is, but I'm saying that I think they're in a worse position long-term than they are short-term. I think short-term right now, I think they're still in an okay spot. I think there's still time for them to get things going. Because like we've seen, if you can get hot at the right time, you never know. The Astros could still make things interesting. I'm not ready to, as much as I hate them, as much as, I don't want them to do well, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that they're completely done. I think there's still a chance for them to make it interesting, I think.
It's just the thing for them is that they're only alive in playoff scenario because of where they're at right now. The AL West sucks. Besides the Oakland A's, everybody else sucks, and they've been average. And if they were in the, as I mentioned last week, if they're in the AL Central, they'd be fourth, right? So right now, I just don't feel that they're gonna do enough, and I think they're gonna be bounced in the playoffs, getting swept for whoever team they play against.
Swept.
They'll probably get the AL wild card game, and they'll lose it.
Wait, you think they won't? Oh wow, I don't know. It's interesting now with the A's because they're shorthanded. They're more beatable now, I think. So I don't know. I'm not ready to say it's over for them.
I mean, I'm with Josiah that I'm not ready to say that it's over, but however, I do think that they should start thinking about blowing up the team, or they should start thinking about trading away some of their pieces.
Springer's
like,
for
example, man, and this is me, man. I'm from Puerto Rico and everything, but I'm saying they should get rid of Correa. They should get rid of him right now. He's more worth to get rid of right now than he will be later.
Yeah.
Like it, and it's a point to the point where like you should start looking in your farm system and somehow relieving some of your players from this generation and start getting a little bit younger. And Correa is one of these injury-prone players that I'm telling you, he has value right now, and he might not have value in a couple more years. So I would be thinking about moving him before the other players, before moving Springer or moving Altuve or God, I forgot. I'm forgetting the third baseman right now, Bergman.
Alex Bregman. How could you forget Alex?
He's the best player on the team.
I know. I was gonna say his last name starts with a B.
Last year is next year, so they should get rid of him because he's on arbitration right now.
Well, yeah, they should totally get rid of Correa. So I mean, they should really totally start thinking about blowing up the team. It's not, and it's also it might help the imagery, like the whole how they have to like change their image from being cheaters now. Like I think that would help if they change the players.
Actually, 2022 is his last year, so at 27 years old, he's going to be a free agent.
Yeah.
Just chop them.
I would say we're not cheaters anymore would be a great slogan. They're looking for something for the 2021 season. Really get a lot of new fans on board. But I would basically agree with Brian that I'm not willing to say that it's over, but it's gonna be pretty tough. Now the thing is, with the whole way the playoff scenario works this year, it's like Josiah was saying, you get hot at the right time. I mean, you can win, or you can at least go a couple of series. Just because baseball, in my opinion, is the most random sport, and it's the sport where if you get hot at the right time, because 3 to 5 games can determine an entire season in what's usually a 160 game season. Best team losing to the worst team is in one game. Even a good pitcher blowing it for a game isn't a huge surprise. I could see the Astros making noise, but at this point, with this blow, I think it's less likely, more than more likely. I don't think there's a grand possibility that the Astros are going back to the World Series.
Well, it's obviously less likely than more likely because they just lost for
Sure. Yeah.
But I just think, all it really takes with that team though is just one of those guys just get going off. If one of them just starts breaking, just starts dominating and just starts going on a roll, that could really change a lot of things. So that's what I'm saying. I still look at that team and I think there's still a lot of talent there. Still quite a bit of talent there. Yeah, of course, cheating is what helped quite a bit for them the past few years. But you look at that team, man, they got a lot of good players. So
Hey, they're not.
I wouldn't
They're
be
not
surprised.
cheating now.
No, they're not.
Well,
I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised though if they just started winning some games and they made it interesting and they could make it a run. I'm just because with the A's, with what's going on with them, I think the AL is just like there's a lot of good teams out there. But I wouldn't necessarily say that there is a clear number one team in the AL. So that's the other thing. So I think that's another reason why I think the Astros still have a legitimate shot of making some noise. So
They're done.
Great.
I think we want them to be done,
They're done.
but I don't think they are.
They can't hit. The pitching's mediocre. What do you want? You can't have a team
Their
like that.
pitching hasn't really been. Their starting rotation
It's
been that
mediocre.
bad.
It's mediocre.
I think you're just saying that because you
It's
hate.
mediocre. After Greinke, it's mediocre. McCullers is average.
Yeah, but Valdez and
They're rookies. You can't put rookies in that scenario. and
Urquidy?
Expect them. Yeah, Urquidy comes out of a bullpen most of the time. He was put
2.70 ERA.
he was
It's not
put in the
bad.
rotation.
I'm not. Gonna say
I don't
that.
trust rookie pitchers in the postseason.
I also think you hate the Astros. So
No, well, I do hate the Astros.
You
but
do hate the Astros.
You want them to do bad.
Yeah, of course I want them to do that, but I'm telling you the truth. They won't do it. Moving on.
It'd be funny if you were wrong.
Great.
I won't. They won't have a trash can to show me wrong.
All right, next topic.
College football. Seth, want to introduce this topic?
Yeah, so we had another weekend of college football last weekend. It was pretty exciting. There were really no good games going into the weekend except for Miami versus Louisville. That was really like the only game that was worth watching. The top 4 games of the week ended up getting postponed or canceled. But with that as the intro point, was anybody impressed by anybody in particular, or did anything stand out to anybody?
So, I mean, you mentioned Miami.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so impressed with how their offense looks right now. I mean, my God, they got themselves a legitimate dual threat quarterback and a guy that can win them games in De'Ara King, man. He looks like the De'Ara King.
He can win the Heisman.
Yeah, 2 years ago, he was unbelievable for Houston, and he looked like that guy, on Saturday. So, man, he looks good. I like Cameron Harris. He's been busting some big runs for them the past few weeks. And Brevin Jordan, I think their tight end is set for a huge year. I like him a lot. His hurdle was awesome, in the game, and that offense was good, man. I think that team, that game also showed, especially with Miami performing, that the ACC is going to be a little bit far deeper than last year's ACC, because we want to talk about last year's ACC, because you got Miami, you got Louisville, you got Notre Dame, who's now going to be in the mix. So it's like the ACC could be really interesting. Now, Clemson's obviously the clear favorite, and I just don't see anybody beating them. But at least it makes things more interesting, because that conference last year was a joke, and you even got Pitt, and so like.
Whoa there.
Hey, they're ranked now, 25th. Okay, so you gotta give them credit. You gotta shout out. I gotta give a shout out to Kenny Pickett. I gotta give a shout out to Kenny Pickett and Pitt, man. They
got ranked today.
Yeah, they did. They're 25th.
Who cares?
So
maybe he's gonna win.
Miami played well. I agree that they were the only team they're the ones that impressed. because everything just seems so uneventful. Other than fine, what surprised me, the Big Ten is playing now. Pac-10 seems like they're gonna like play and restart soon too. Yeah, people are playing college football. That's the big surprise. I mean, I'm still waiting for bigger matchups. Let's wait for the bigger matchups to come up and see.
Yeah.
That Louisville game, I'm giving you, that was a good game. That
Mhm.
was it. That was the only
No,
one.
I'm telling you, last week's schedule, mostly because like the top 4 of the top 5 games ended up getting canceled or postponed. Last week's schedule was about the worst full schedule that I can remember for a full Saturday of college football. It was really bad. But yeah, Miami, Miami finished out their season last year in their bowl game, scoring 0 points on Louisiana Tech. Miami's offense was awful this year or last year. Also, Tate Martell, he's now gone from Miami. So
Totally forgot about that. I've got to
Tate Martell.
God, his career, man.
Wow.
How many does he have? Like a full season?
I think he had. I mean, because he never played, man. He barely ever. Dude, I think he attempted like 1 pass for them last year. I think he attempted a pass in Louisiana Tech.
That counted as a year because he's redshirted like 2 years. Oh god.
I mean, I don't know, but man, I mean, he kind of deserves the given. He was kind of an a-hole at a number of different programs. But anyway, moving on. Miami looked good. Also, Louisville's defense looked absolutely horrendous. There was literally one play where they forgot to cover a receiver just like the entire way, which is not a way to set your team up for success. Louisville, a lot of people thought this year Louisville was a dark horse in the ACC. It's unless their defense improves by a lot, which it can. I don't see that happening. But Miami, who knows? This is a weird year, obviously. They could be a legitimate threat to Clemson. Like, I know it's easy to say that Clemson's just going to be world beaters and they're going to dominate everybody. Miami looked really good, and also this is the most unpredictable year on record, really. So I could see Miami giving them a real threat, and I'm never been a huge fan of their program, but honestly, yeah, I like to see it. I like to see the ACC be competitive. I like to see somebody stand up to Clemson, and there's a chance for that this year.
Clemson's still going to beat them.
Probably.
Well,
Robert?
there's some intrigue. There's some intrigue, and that's what's good. You know, now this could very well go right back to square one, and Miami just sucks next week. Who knows? Or the week after. I don't know. But obviously, Clemson's the favorite in the ACC.
Or there could be a COVID outbreak. Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that could happen too. That's another good point. Actually, you know, I also think we should also mention. Well, first of all, Marshall beating Appalachian State, which is a great win for them. Also, you know, I know UCF is supposed to go in and whoop Georgia Tech, but I was really impressed with Dylan Gabriel. I mean, like, that kid is going to be, I think, one of the better quarterbacks in the country this year, and he's going to be an absolute monster. So, I was really impressed with how he did yesterday. You know, last year, he didn't get the starting job. It was Brandon Wimbush, you know, former Notre Dame quarterback. And he actually didn't suck. He just, you know, he played all right. It's just that Dylan Gabriel, when he came in, they started playing him. He was just so impressive. And, you know, once he got a starting job, he never looked back. And UCF was pretty good. So UCF is a team that, you know, could be interesting this year as well. And I think Gabriel – what is it with – you know, Robert talked about – we talked about this a little bit yesterday. You got Mackenzie Milton on the shelf, Hawaiian. You got Dylan Gabriel, Hawaiian. It's like, what's with the Hawaiian quarterbacks?
And UCF going from Hawaii to all the way to Florida.
They just love Hawaii quarterbacks.
It's recruiting operation in what?
I'm surprised for a guy called McDonald.
I hope Milton gets healthy too.
I can see it. I can see it. It's a recruiting thing, and it's also the weather. I mean, if you're gonna recruit a quarterback, you usually try to find someone who wants to go to your weather.
Mm-hmm.
And
honestly, I'm just surprised by the way how good of a state Hawaii as a producing prospects.
Oh my God, are you kidding me? Just like culturally, it's like even part of like the Samoan, like there's so many great like culture, like
Hawaii would be like a good.
All right, whoa, we're talking at the same time.
There's so many Samoan cultural like greats, like Junior Seau. So many people from Hawaii, like historically, there's always like great players coming out of Hawaii.
Tua, I mean, come on. Think about that.
Yeah,
It's like,
I'm just saying, like, I am like impressed like how good they are at producing prospects.
And
Just-
Hawaii's
just being an island.
it's a
themselves.
state.
Like,
It's a state. It's because it's a state. Like, all right, fine. In Puerto Rico, we have baseball. In Hawaii, they have football. They have surfing, and then they have football. Like, they have a college football team. The college football team of Hawaii is actually like they pack the stadium to go to their games. Not now because of COVID.
Rainbow Warriors, baby.
Yeah, they had Cole McDonald was freaking
The Rainbow Warriors.
for
yeah,
years.
man.
So
And I have the
Discipline.
hat, the University of Hawaii hat. I love it.
Oh,
It's
really?
actually- yeah, I still have one, but it's all broken.
What, a Rainbow Warriors jersey?
It was a rainbow. It was a hat, and it was like part like hay, like the front cap part of the cap. It was very
That's
cool.
Awesome. That's awesome.
I need to get me a Cole McDonald Hawaii jersey.
Mhm.
Or maybe Cole McDonald's Reds.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know why you would be surprised with that with Hawaii, because they've definitely produced a lot of NFL talent.
Oh yeah.
One more thing I wanna ask you guys about when it comes to college football, unless Robert has something else to say on that, on any of the stuff we've been talking about.
I mean, you want to? Okay, let's just say. I mean, yeah. I mean, Miami Louisville was a game that was impressive last night because there wasn't much on the slate. Very intrigued with Derek King. As I was talking to Seth yesterday, he reminds me a lot of Kyler. Actually, I think he's more mobile than Kyler. I would say.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He definitely is.
Yeah.
But some of the throws he made.
Yeah, that's he's a very good thrower. And I think that's the part of his game that it's going to help him a lot if he grows more in like the passing wise. And I definitely see him. What year is he? Is he a sophomore now?
No, he's either a junior or a senior. I think he's a senior.
He's a senior?
I think so. Because he played, what, 2 or 3 years at Houston?
Yeah. The only thing I don't like about him is that he just said like, oh, I'm going to stay in Houston. And then he just leaves.
Yeah, yeah.
And people change their mind.
Yeah, but he like literally told the coaches and all that, I'm going to stay here.
He's a senior.
Yeah, well, definitely he could be a first round prospect next year if he plays well this year. And I think he has potential. And then, I mean, it's great that the Big Ten is coming back. I mean, it's really college football for me is not interesting without watching the Big Ten that much. I'm just going to say it. Like, you got Ohio State, and Ohio State has a lot of potential for this year. I think I would say it's definitely going to be Ohio State and Clemson this year, I would say.
I would agree. I do want to get into the Big Ten thing a little bit, just because looking at everything going on with the Big Ten, I'm going to make a prediction here. No team in the Big Ten is going to play more than 4 games, and we're not going to have a full season of Big Ten football. I hope to God that we do, because Ohio State is my national title favorite too. And I think like we have everything. Ryan Day is saying this is a once in a lifetime team. We had 2 players opt out and then opt back in because we're playing. But you look at what's going on at LSU. They said more than half their team had either COVID or is under contract tracing restrictions. Like I said, like the reason last week's matchups were so awful for the most part is because like 4 of the top 5 games ended up getting postponed. And I'm not talking about the original schedule. I'm talking about like the schedule 2 weeks ago. 4 of the top 5 games got postponed. What the Big Ten saying is we're going to play 8 games. Well, when you include the championship weekend and every team in the Big Ten playing in that 1 versus 1, 2 versus 2, etc., you have 9 games in 9 weeks, no bye weeks. And they also said that if you more than 5% of your team is COVID positive, you can't play. Like you're out. So, I mean, the daily testing I'm sure is going to help a lot, but we've seen outbreaks all over the country. And we've had already games that if the Big Ten standards were in place, the 5% standards, the games would not have been played. So if we're expecting the Big Ten to play 9 games in 9 weeks, I think that is an awfully lot to ask. And I think what we're setting up for, because
and then Trump is gonna say, "Hey, I got them to 4 games."
Yeah. The thing that we're going to get to is because you had these people, you had Trump, and then you had Ohio State, Iowa, Nebraska really wanting to play, and then you had the people, the Big Ten, deciding not to play. Well, now this is kind of a compromise scenario where they're saying, okay, well, we have new standards in, and we're going to play. Okay, what happens if Ohio State looks awesome, starts 3-0, 4-0, and they say, yeah, now you can't play? Like, as angry as people were before, people are going to be so much more angry if we start a season and certain teams look good. If Nebraska looks good, because they haven't looked good in a while, and they think they have a chance at being at least better. I mean, honestly, it's true. And they have a huge fan base, one of the biggest fan bases in the country. What's going to happen? I think this is about a month from now. We're going to have a bigger battle over Big Ten football than we had now. And also, too, the Trump thing, it's going to be a month closer to the election. So we're going to be 20 days out from an election, and Trump's going to be pulling out all the stops to try to win Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, which are the three biggest swing states, most important swing states. I think, like, I would love to think, oh, everything's going to be great now and we're going to have a full season. But I think it's much more likely that everything that was put in place with the new agreement, it's just going to lead to more arguing and things are going to fall apart again. I hope I'm wrong.
I don't know if I'd say it's much more likely. That can definitely happen. There's a good chance that it will, but I'm not ready to just, I wouldn't say that personally. Also, Robert, you said that, you weren't that intrigued by anything if the Big Ten is on there. The SEC is not a good conference for you.
True.
It's Big 12. It's always, Big 12 is reach shit.
I'm ready.
SEC.
I just want the Pac-12 because I want Pac-12 that night.
Yeah,
exactly.
Right.
There's nothing better than Pac-12 at night.
I got to say, it felt so weird last night with all the games over like 11.
And no Pac-12.
And that was it. That just felt so weird. I'm so used to having a Pac-12 game going on. 1 a.m. Like, I want that again.
I want Hawaii at 2 o'clock.
All right, here, let me go real quick and answer Seth in terms of this quick COVID thing. Well, the truth is, all the kids in college football, most of them are kids, and they're college age kids. Look at what happened. Remember, when Baker Mayfield got in trouble, and it was this whole big deal because he was out drinking and it was all this. No college football player can do that this year because of COVID.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone has to walk a very thin line.
But the thing is, if at a college campus, even if you do that, they're not a single college in America right now that doesn't have at least a little bit of an outbreak. So if we're talking about academics, we still want them to go to class. We still want them to go out and do stuff occasionally that they're supposed to do. And if you have one player who gets it, football is literally the most contact sport. You're going to have of all the major sports. It spread so quickly at LSU. It spread at Ohio State even a little bit. So we had to pause workouts. It's going to happen some more. Yeah.
It's you guys, it's the age. It's hardly going to happen in the NFL possibly because they're paid professionals. And all of a sudden, somehow they get money and somehow they see the responsibility that they have in terms of oh, well, if I don't walk straight, I might not see this money. But a college age student, you're there in college, you're there in a campus full of full of other college age students, full of college age girls that you want to hang out with. Look at what happened in the bubble. Even NBA players who are getting paid can't resist the temptation of being with a significant other. It's the truth, Robert. It's not. It's hard.
It's funny
in this COVID
It's funny
time.
how middle-aged men can not,
Yeah.
figure it out.
And I bet that it's even going to be harder for college age students.
I will say this though, I don't think we're going to get a single story as stupid as what happened with the NBA and the Seahawks player. We're not going to get.
I think we will.
I disagree.
Really?
I disagree.
I think we will.
Okay, but
I think we will hear stories of house parties thrown by
Yeah, but that's not funnier than having somebody dress up as a member of the team to try to get in with them. That's not as funny.
I foresee the same thing happening in college.
Okay.
Absolutely more than likely.
I think
you're gonna see guys getting caught for going out. They're on campus. You're gonna see that. It's just impossible. It's
so hard to not get tempted to do it.
Stuff's gonna happen. It's inevitable. We're gonna find a story that somebody did something really stupid, and now they can't play the rest of the season. we're gonna get that.
Yeah.
It's way more likely in
Okay.
college
So,
football. I mean, come on, they're college students.
we
you know?
gotta
They're young guys. It's gonna happen.
yeah, we gotta end this college football talk because we're gonna take too long, and we got a couple NFL talk
Okay.
to go to.
Next.
By the way, yeah, it's gonna be weird seeing Cam Randall without jump around.
Oh, they're still gonna do it. It's just going to be nobody in the crowd.
Oh God, jump around.
Look
No,
at
Cam
the
Randall.
players.
Okay, so NFL. Before we get into that, I don't know if you guys saw last week after the Patriots won, somebody asked Bill Belichick, how does this compare to anything you've ever experienced before and all that, and like in games, and he said, practice.
That was beautiful, man. That was just a complete deadpan. I love it.
I watched that on the loop, man. It was funny.
So much better than his Subway commercial.
I was just watching that.
So stupid. Okay. What's
Okay,
next?
so if you guys were watching the NFL today, probably saw there was a lot of injuries, especially the big name players. You saw Solomon Thomas is out now, Jimmy Garoppolo's out, Drew Lock, Nick Bosa, who else? Christian McCaffrey's injured. Saquon has an ACL. It's like
Raheem
the
Mostert.
names keep piling on, man, and it's insane. So, is this due to something?
I would not say it's due to something. I think it's just really bad luck. You know, today's just been a really crazy day for injuries. If anything, you could maybe connect it to like no preseason games and they're not getting warmed up and stuff like that. But that's about it. I don't think it has something to do with anything. I think it's just today has just been a really unlucky day. The NFL, every year you have a lot of injuries. But we haven't quite had a day like this where it's just so many guys just go down. I just think it's just bad luck, and it just worked out that way. It's honestly not that surprising because it's football. Football is a really dangerous sport. I'm kind of surprised we haven't had more days like these in the NFL. But yeah, it's just unfortunate. It's just an unfortunate things that have happened, and it hurts a lot of teams, especially the Niners. I mean, they've already had injuries to the receiving core with Deebo Samuel, Jalen Hurd, guys like that. Now Nick Bosa, now Solomon Thomas, Jimmy Garoppolo could be out for a while. Like
George Kittle didn't play today.
And George Kittle didn't play. Richard Sherman didn't play. So that is, for them, they're hit harder than anyone. They're in a worse position than anyone right now. So I think that's definitely going to be affected for sure. So our friend Kate just walked in and just said, hi.
Hey, Kate.
Hi, Kate.
But back to what I was saying. Yeah, it's just like, this is just unfortunate circumstances. I'm not going to no, it has nothing to do with something. It's just like, it happened, you know, and it sucks.
And you mentioned the 49ers. We were, Josiah and I were speaking earlier about this. And look at their schedule after this. Now, next week is not as concerning. They play the Giants. But after that, they got the Eagles. They got the Dolphins. They got the Rams. They got the Patriots. They got the Seahawks. They got the Packers. They got the Saints. Then they got the Rams again. Then they got the Bills.
Yeah. So,
and then you play against Washington, but then you got the Cowboys, the Cardinals, and they play the Seahawks again.
Yeah. So it's a pretty
it's not even just having the injuries. It's coming back from the injuries that is going to hurt them.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
that's going to be very interesting to see.
Because that division is so good that anybody can win it. And then you got those injuries that are just going to affect you a lot.
But you know,
it's hard to come back.
They're not the only team.
It's hard to come.
The Jets have, I think, been hit hard by injuries.
But it's hard to come back from that. The difference between the Jets and that is, you know.
No, I know.
The
I
Jets.
know.
The Jets are not meant to win.
Yeah.
They're not even meant to be in the league, I think, right now. It's awful.
Oh.
Don't get me started. Injuries.
Wait a minute. I just want to ask. How did you become a Jets fan?
Oh God, can we not?
When I was 3 years old, I went to Boston, and my mom gave me a ski mask, and it was a ski mask of the Jets, and that's where my interest in the Jets came. And then I saw the character of Joe Namath in terms of in like these like docs that they showed, and Joe Namath was the coolest person in the world. And then I started becoming a fan like around college, and that was when Mark Sanchez was okay, and they made they made the AFC finals 2 years in a row, and then they lost. So I mean, they were a good team back when I was in college. So, and then they were the level of losers, and I like underdogs. So so it's an easy team to root for because I like underdogs.
See, I actually like that a lot. I like AK. I like that story a lot. It's much better of a story than this guy just falling in love with Aaron Rodgers and then Packers. So,
No, because you can fall in love with a player and then fall in love with the team he plays for. No, you can't.
What's the next? So wait, who's next?
No, I was actually going to talk about injuries real quick. Like, first of all, yeah, the Niners are hurt, and I saw that game because it was the Jets game, so I would watch the whole game. Raheem Mostert was killing it before getting hurt.
What about him too? God.
But they have running backs to like they're like
They
have a great offensive line and they have great running backs. The key really is they have to make sure that Garoppolo gets back because when Mullins came in that game, it didn't look like the Niners offense anymore. And it's just that
their back is Jared McKinnon, who's also injury prone.
Yeah, but if he stays healthy, man, they could be. I'm not that concerned about the running game. It's about the quarterback position.
It's a quarterback position. Like Garoppolo,
they don't pass the ball that much.
But it's the leader. It's the leader.
Yeah, Jimmy Garoppolo's their leader. Nick Mullins.
He's the leader.
That's a clear step down. Although I actually kind of like Nick Mullins, but we'll see what he can do the next few weeks. But it's a clear difference. It's a very.
I don't. Do you think that is Garoppolo going to be out multiple weeks?
Yeah,
that he is. They just said it's going to be probably 2 to 4 weeks, I think. Something like that.
Jeez, man.
Something around that.
I mean, that sucks. He was playing injured. He was playing hurt in that, like a little bit in that game. So I hope that he didn't compensate because like losing downs against the Jets, that's nothing.
He's had injuries in the past, so it's just like, it's kind of a recurrent thing. Seth,
but it's not. It's first of all, real quick. It's not a surprise. Sure, you can make the excuse about preseason. Go, Seth.
No. I mean, I would say, to me, I think preseason, not having preseason games, not having as many full practices, I can definitely see how that plays a role. Today seemed eerie, but especially like the first half hour. Like the first half hour was crazy. It was like just one dude after another guy getting carted off the field. Great players. It really did kind of seem like the NFL apocalypse. But I know you would think, okay, well, if this were a thing, if the lack of preseason games, if the lack of snaps, if the lack of really getting prepared for the season in a regular manner actually did hurt, it would have hurt in week 1 as opposed to week 2, and I get that. But then again, I don't remember. Like, do you guys remember a week in the NFL quite like this, where as many people got hurt? So I would say, I would have to at least guess, and it's an educated guess, I don't know for sure, but I would think that the lack of snaps, the lack of real just like basic things that people do to get their bodies ready to get hit on that level, not doing that, I bet that's had an effect.
I have something to say though. Here's the thing: we're not considering there was no preseason, and a lot of people get hurt in preseason. So like you have to think about maybe like these injuries, these freak injuries that are happening in these games are part of the ones that happen in preseason. I mean, remember when Romo got hurt in preseason? Remember, there's so many like high profile injuries that have happened in preseason before that maybe it is normal because it's the second game that they're hitting each other, like actually hitting each other. Robert?
I just think I wouldn't say it's funny, but like you know Jordan Reed?
No, I don't know who Jordan Reed is. Who
the tight end for
the... No, I'm kidding.
And I think like it's all the injuries happening today, and Jordan Reed gets a touchdown for the 49ers. He's been injury prone.
But it was expected because Kittle wasn't playing, so it's not. How is that a surprise?
Yeah, because he's like always had concussions, always missing games.
I don't know what's funny about anything that's. But okay.
Nothing funny about the injuries. I'm just saying it's odd. Like it happened on a day with so many injuries, and Jordan Reed gets a touchdown.
I just feel like you always find a way to find something that's entertaining about. When Marlon Mack got hurt last week, you're like, oh, he's more carried for Jonathan Taylor. Like, come on.
I didn't say it like that.
It kind of like that.
I just said, oh, okay, sorry. One curse, not each other.
Yo, yeah, you said it
What
like
was
that.
Curse.
What the hell was that? What the hell just happened?
What the hell was that? Were you trying to
Were
pick
you
up
high when you were
Josiah?
talking to me?
Is that
Were
how you
on
pick up
drugs?
chicks?
Like, what the
Is that? Oh,
hell was that? Okay.
what the hell
Well,
was
yeah.
that?
I
Okay.
don't know what that was. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to any of you viewers, listeners that just had to.
Oh, they probably
experience
enjoyed.
that.
They probably enjoyed it,
What
man.
the fuck was that?
They enjoyed that
I'm
more.
wondering.
Hoping.
Hoping.
They enjoyed that more to see in your face every Sunday.
Oh, wow. You got me. Like, you're so good at this. All right, get off me.
Our weekly session.
What's the next thing? Let's move to the next topic.
Move on to the next topic.
2 weeks in. Team that has impressed you the most.
Okay.
Oh, can I go? Can I go first?
Dude, what are you
Arizona. Arizona. Like Kyler Murray is a monster. He is the next coming. He is going to be an MVP candidate and he's going to carry my fantasy football team all year. But yeah, like Arizona, man, DeAndre Hopkins looks like it fits perfect with Kyler Murray. Larry Fitzgerald played pretty well today too. I mean, I don't know. I feel like it's clicking in all cylinders. It's like, wow, Cliff Kingsbury. Maybe I didn't expect this to happen so quickly, but yeah, go. That's my team.
Okay. I mean, I have a few. You know, one of them, I hate saying it, but one of them is the Green Bay Packers and just how dominant their offense has been to this point. Rodgers looked solid this week. Not as good as last week, but he was still good this week. Aaron Jones absolutely dominated from the last scrimmage. So, you know.
The receivers,
their
not
offense-
named Davante Adams, were good.
I mean, yeah, sure. Although Valdez-Scantling made a few drops, but yes, the offense looks really good. You know, very impressive. They took care of business today against the Lions. They did so last week against the Vikings. So they looked very, very good. Another team that I wanted to point out is also the Baltimore Ravens. You know, that running game has been so good. I mean, wait, what, Brian? What?
It's just it's fine, but it's like, how is that super surprising? That
not
like
surprising.
the
I'm
top
saying-
team of the AFC last year is good this year.
No, I'm not. That's not surprising. I'm saying teams impressed me. I'm not saying teams surprised me. So yeah, no. Like that. This is not surprising. I'm just impressed because today, especially with how they went in there and handled business against the Texans, their running game looked really, really good. And they got a three-headed monster at running back. You know, with Mark Ingram, J.K. Dobbins, Ohio State, and Gus Edwards. So, you know, their running game is going to be so good all year. And, you know, that team is on a mission to try to get back to being a contender, and they want to get over the hump this year. So, you know, last week they absolutely dominated the Browns. I mean, ran them out of the stadium. This week, it was impressive. Beating a Texans team that is a talented group. And I mean, the Texans haven't looked great, though, which I'm concerned about for them. But, yeah, the Ravens and the Packers, those are two teams that right now are establishing themselves as top teams in the league. They look like two top teams, and there are others, but they're up there for sure. Who's next?
I'll go. Yeah, so when I first saw in the chat that this is going to be one of the questions, I thought, okay, all four of us are going to say the Cardinals, right? Because, I mean, like, that was my pick. That's Brian. That's the obvious pick. They've looked really good. They go in there to San Fran, and they go in and they beat them. Tyler's looked really good. I mean, I thought he was going to be an MVP candidate. I didn't know if it was going to be this early. I didn't know if it was even going to be this year, but he definitely is. Arizona, and like you're saying, Cliff Kingsbury, this is a dude who failed in college. He had Patrick Mahomes and went like 7-6. Got better as a coach from that point on. But I mean, I didn't expect him. I didn't expect a Cliff Kingsbury-led team, even with Kyler Murray, to be this good this early. Of course, small sample size, 2 games. But yeah, I would say they've definitely been the team that's impressed me the most. I got a second Josiah too. The Packers offense has been ridiculous. 2 straight weeks. And I mean, Robert said this last week, but I talk about a bad week or a bad couple of weeks if you say that Aaron Rodgers doesn't have any receivers. Just generally, the Packers have really been on fire, so gotta give them props too.
I mean, for me, you guys mentioned the Packers. It's just me. Year 2 under LaFleur. It's like it's a new system he's coming into. Aaron Rodgers only played under one system, and that was Mike McCarthy for so many years. And then you get a guy who is first-year head coach, like first-time head coach, and then you got to learn. And then I don't think that was enough last year to learn that system that much. So I think that is changing the entire team. But for me, the team that has impressed me the most, I'm actually going with a bad team because it's what impressed me the most of how bad they've been. The Minnesota Vikings. Minnesota Vikings suck. They just suck entirely. Their offense is trash. And their defense.
I feel Kirk Cousins had an off game today, but week 1 they weren't that horrible.
Well, that you're gonna look at the stats and you're gonna see it, and then it was almost fourth quarter with the Packers playing prevent defense.
I mean, yeah, that game was kind of over.
Yeah, it was over. So
they weren't really that.
Yeah,
close.
Kirk Cousins was mid in the first half, and then it was like, okay, the Packers are not playing to they're already gonna win this game, so it doesn't matter to them how they play on defense. But today, 15 incompletions he had in the first half, was it? Something like that?
I don't know what his final stat line was,
so
but at one
many
point he was 7 of 22 with 3 interceptions, which is horrible.
The thing is,
that's horrible.
You're leaning on one receiver, and then your other receivers do not have any experience whatsoever that much. Like Justin Jefferson is probably your number 2, and it was his second NFL game there. And then your defense is just you're a team that throughout the years have been good on defense, and then it's been average to say the least, or maybe even bad. But
I think this is also your way of just shitting on the Vikings. You hate them so much.
I mean, but I wanted at least some competition, and my only competition in the NFC North seems to be the Bears, and I thought it was going to be the Vikings.
Well,
I do like that.
Hey, we gotta say we gotta mention the Bears in terms of impressive teams. They're 2-0.
I would say second half impressive, right?
I wouldn't say that.
Yeah.
2-0, but we could easily be 0-2.
They could easily.
Yeah, but
Are we going to talk about our teams though in a little
yeah,
bit?
exactly. Let's talk about our teams.
Let me just. I just found the final stat line for Kirk Cousins. 11 for 26, 113 yards, 3 interceptions,
Ugh.
sacks 3 times. His QBR was 9.2.
3 interceptions?
Not good.
Ugh.
Not good, but I don't understand though why you had to shout him out like that.
It just
it
impressed me how bad they are though.
What you impressed
wait.
by how?
Yeah.
Wait, let me look. I just looked up the definition
And I'll be impressed
for the
with being so bad.
I think you literally were just trying to find a way to get the Vikings in this.
I
conversation.
looked
No,
at
it was my.
I'm sorry, but that's really.
But then if I have to pick a team who surprised me the most, I would say it wouldn't be from the.
Wait, so okay, I guess I'm out of the loop. Were we deciding on the teams that we thought surprised us or impressed, or is it both? Is it just a little bit of both?
It's a little bit both. You can combine it.
Well, okay.
Because I didn't really think about.
Because I can say impressed, and I can be impressed how bad the team has been.
No, I looked up. I just looked up for clarification. For clarification's sake, the dictionary definition for the word impress is makes someone feel admiration and respect. So I'm glad you feel admiration and respect for how bad the Vikings are.
Yeah.
You watch those games and you were like, man, I really respect how pitiful this team is. A lot of admiration on it.
But if I'm gonna say a team that has impressed me, I would say it's the Chargers as well.
Who lost today?
Who lost their game?
They lost their game, but they played the Chiefs until the end.
Yeah, that's fair.
Lost
That's fair.
both.
That's
Fine.
Chiefs
But I'm more
not
impressed with the Chiefs. I'm more impressed with the
Okay,
Chiefs
but I
pulling out
wasn't-
that game.
You see, they won last week, and then you bring Herbert, who's probably not going to start next week because Tyler Taylor's injury is not bad, and he's going to start again. He's probably going to start again next week. But they saw what Herbert can do, and he wasn't that. He was good for the time he got. And
I don't know. I just don't understand why we're not even. Where's the Rams in all this? They look.
Yeah.
Jared Goff was 12 for 12. I think.
I wasn't so impressed on the last game. I was more impressed in this game with the Rams.
They actually.
I'm more. I think that there's other teams to mention. I think that there's the Steelers.
But here's the thing.
all of a sudden,
our last topic. It's the power rankings that we have.
Yeah, but I'm not. I still have something to say. But
Okay.
Brian, what are you gonna say? What are you gonna say?
I was gonna say there's other teams like the Steelers that are like to mention that are like
Yeah, I was.
they're
Yeah,
2-0.
Yeah.
They're like they look like they're playing well on
TJ Watt,
offense. James
unbelievable.
Conner played well today, which is
TJ
surprising.
Watt was killing it today. So, but I was just gonna say, like, a team that surprised me. I'm surprised that we haven't even mentioned this at all, which is just ridiculous. The Cowboys. They shouldn't have won that game today. Like, that was an unbelievable comeback, and also an unbelievable choke by the Falcons. But like, is that not surprising?
I mean, the Falcons have done it before.
They were down, but come on, they were down 20-0.
The most surprising was the onside kick.
Dude,
That onside kick
That's
was
what it
unbelievable.
was.
The onside kick was the most surprising thing.
I was going to get to that, especially against the Falcons, who have the onside kick king in Young Wei Koo, and yet the Cowboys were the ones that got
okay.
it was so well executed.
What it looked like happened there was somebody for the Falcons didn't understand the rules and didn't touch the ball, and then everybody else on his team was like, "Oh well, he's not touching the ball. Like, you must not be able to touch it. It must be for both teams 10 yards." And everybody got confused and thought that the first guy was doing the right thing.
It was a hell of a catch.
That's my only explanation. That's literally my only explanation for what happened there.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, but still, it's just like, and the fact, I mean, they were down 20-0, and they made it a game, and they came back and won. I mean, this is the typical Falcons, you know, they choke. But if that's, I mean, I can't believe we even mentioned that, because that's a huge surprise, because the Cowboys were supposed to lose that game.
Okay.
They were supposed to lose. The Falcons had no business lose. They were supposed, or they were supposed to. Yeah, they're supposed to lose that game. And
the Cowboys were actually favored in that game.
Yeah,
and the Falcons had.
Well, the Cowboys were favored.
Does anything really surprise you?
Yes.
Nothing surprises me with the NFC East. The NFC East, nothing surprises me. Weird shit like this happens all the time with the Cowboys.
Let's leave all this.
You come back from 20-0 down. That's not surprising. Come on. That's a. They came back. They were down 9 with 4 minutes to go. They get an onside kick and they went. You're just.
I feel worse. I feel worse about it for the Falcons because the Falcons dominated that whole game.
Guys,
I don't care. The Falcons are known for that. It's hilarious. You know what?
Matt Ryan.
Yeah, Matt
dominating
Ryan.
The fantasy line.
Alvin Ridley were both amazing, but you got to finish the game. And they didn't finish the game. They choked in classic Falcons fashion. Hilarious. I think it was hilarious. And the Cowboys found a way to win. So you can't tell me that's not. What's so funny?
I'm trying to tell you guys. Let's leave this stuff for the final topic.
Robert gets frustrated. Him just like
I'm trying to talk. You just keep talking.
Yeah, because I wanted to get my point. I didn't know that's what
okay.
you were going to say.
Yeah, I said earlier, like, okay, leave this points for the final topic because we can talk about those teams.
What's the final? What do you even know? What
the power rankings, top 10.
So we're doing the power rankings. We're not doing the games from the.
We're not allowed to keep talking about that.
I mean, you can leave that for the final topic. Let's move on to the other topics. So, next topic is what has impressed you the most about your team?
Impressed? Yeah, I don't know.
Wait.
Impressed or
That
depressed?
was the question.
That wasn't.
Yeah, I read it wrong.
Impressed or depressed of your team?
So would your answer be an A?
Wait. So the question actually was, Robert read it wrong. What's depressed or depressing the most? I don't know. What is let me go back and read the question. What worries you the most about your team? I guess I'll freaking start.
A little different.
Brian, you got a laundry list of stuff to talk about. But let me just start here. The one thing there's a few things that worry me the most about the Bears right now. Number one, playing a full four quarters of football. Okay, because they haven't done that the first 2 weeks of the season. Another thing is keeping a lead, which they couldn't do today. The thing is, they're 2-0. Okay, I'm happy. I'm glad. It's the first time in 2-0 in years. But, we easily could have been 0-2. It's like, we didn't play consistent games for weeks 1 and this week. We are 2-0. We played 3 good quarters of football. Okay, last week was the 4th quarter against the Lions. They finally decided to show up and play. Today, the first half, they were unbelievable. And the second half didn't score. And they let up and they could have lost the game. When you're up 17-0 against the New York Giants without Saquon Barkley, Sterling Shepard, and they're decimated, you can't give up a 17-point lead. You got to, when you're playing, especially if this is a team that wants to contend this year, you got to put your foot down. You got to keep stomping on that team until it's over. And I felt like they kind of let off the gas a little bit. And it was a game, and it shouldn't have been. It should have been over a long time ago. Thankfully, the defense got the stop. It's 2 straight weeks now. The defense has had to be asked to win the game, and they shouldn't have last week. They should have lost. And this week, they got it done though this week, and it was good. Mitchell Trubisky also needs to play 4 quarters of football, because today in the first half he looked amazing. Second half, not as good. Now, the few of his picks weren't entirely his fault, and I think it's also because of the fact that coaching is an issue with that, because Matt Nagy needs to do a better job of how he game plans a little bit. It's like when you're up 17-0, you got to finish the job, especially against the Giants. We could have lost that game. We should have lost last week. So I think the talent is there with this team. I just think they need to figure out how to put a full game together, play well in the first half and the second half, a complete game. And next week we have a chance against the Falcons to do that, who just shit the bed today. So we have a chance to do that. But yeah, it's got to be more consistent. I'm okay right now, but Matt Nagy said today, he's like, I think we're just okay. And I agree with that. They're just okay right now. They're 2-0, but they're not as good as what the record shows. And if this team we're lucky we played the Lions and the Giants today, these first few weeks. We played good teams, we'd probably be easily 0-2. So yeah, there's a lot of work to do with that team. And Brian, I guess you can go next.
Don't get me started. First thing I need to what do you want me to do? What worries me? Here, the question is, what worries you about your team? You know what worries me? What worries me is having Sam Darnold waste more time with Adam Gase. What worries me is all of a sudden this Sam Darnold project go to the trash because of Adam Gase, and all of a sudden, we're like the worst team in the league, and then we have to draft a quarterback because that's the best player available for the number 1 pick. And then the whole Darnold project goes to the trash. So I feel like Adam Gase has to be fired right now, because any more games that Adam Gase is there is more trouble for Darnold, because the offense looks awful. It just they just can't move. It's like they look lost. It looks like Sam Darnold's just moving around to survive in the pocket. I understand that it's a new offensive line, but it was a revamped offensive line so we could be able to take off. And now we don't have a running back. We don't have the 2 best wide receivers were out today, and Perryman got injured today, and Jamison Crowder was out. I don't even know where to even go with this Jets team. It's like they have to fire Adam Gase. If they want any hope of Sam Darnold, I feel like Adam Gase should be fired right now, and it's gonna be sad for Sam, because Sam has to somehow figure out how to win games in order to keep his job, because that's really what's gonna end up happening. Because it looks like the Jets are gonna be one of the worst teams in the league, and if we're the worst team in the league,
I don't think they win a game. Probably, I could say that.
They look like the worst team in the league right now. They look awful on offense and defense too. Don't get me started. It's just they look lost. They look like a lost cause. They look like the worst team in the NFL. And if Sam Darnold wants to keep on being the Jets starting quarterback, he has to win games by himself, even if he doesn't have a head coach. Because that's what worries me about the team. It worries me that they threw away all these years on Darnold. And it's not like Darnold is not a lost cause of a talent. I don't think he's a lost cause of a talent. But but he had Adam Gase is like a sickness, is a disease right now, and they got to get rid of it.
I called it. I'm sorry. I just have to say I called this from the beginning, that this was going to be an issue. I told you Adam Gase sucks. So yeah, now you're seeing the issue with having him. If you had a better coach, you might have been more competitive and at least look a little respectable. But with Adam Gase, you're going nowhere,
But it's hard.
I don't know about Darnold. I think Darnold would be the same.
I disagree.
I disagree.
I think Sam Darnold, if you give him the right weapons, you give him the right situation, a good coach, first of all, I think he can become a stud. I still think he's there. We've seen flashes of it. He had injuries.
You see flashes in the game today. You see flashes. You saw flashes of it. You see flashes of it all the time. But it's just like it's been 3 years, and you don't survive 3 years on flashes.
Yeah, and he's been seeing ghosts for the past 2 years as well, so that doesn't help. Sorry, I just that popped in my head.
It's not even.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, at least he doesn't mono again.
Yeah, I mean, but it's truth that's really what worries me. What worries me is about it's Darnold and like that whole project being thrown in the trash because we're wasting our time with Adam Gase. Because we're wasting our time right now. The offense looks so bad that it's a waste of time. There's nothing we can do.
Yeah. Seth?
I don't know. Seth, you want to talk? Because I don't want to keep trashing the Jets.
Yeah, no. As much fun as it is to hear you talk about the Jets. I mean, we talked about the Browns a good bit last week. I'm still not particularly optimistic, even though they did come off of a win against a actually like pretty good looking Joe Burrow led Bengals team. But I would say the main worry I have about this team is the defense is not good enough to lead to games where the offense has the best chance of success. Our top success on offense is in the running game. And if we get down 14-0, if we get down 21-7, Baker's going to need to throw it. And I mean, maybe it'll come, but Baker just isn't at that point decision-making wise, that he's doing the smart thing, that he doesn't look like he can be that kind of quarterback that can bring you back from a big deficit. And like in week 1 with the Ravens, we're good at getting out to big deficits. If we're in a game late, I feel like we have a shot. If we have a lead, I feel like, okay, we can run the ball, we can keep going, we can maybe squeeze out a victory. And I think we're going to get a few of those this year. I don't think this is going to be a year. I think we can maybe even get to 500. But there's not enough teams that we're not going to be down to for us to like actually be a playoff team, unless either the defense has to play better or Baker has to play better. One of the two.
Got it?
Yeah.
I mean, for the Packers, I don't think there's something on offense. I would say it's the jobs, get better at that. But you got 15 more weeks to fix that. So I have no worries right now. And on the offensive side, defensively, the pass defense has been good. Coverages by Jair and Shannon. Shannon played a really good game today when Pettin told him that he had to play better than last week, and he did. And, I mean, the cornerbacks are okay in the safeties, but the issue that continues to happen is the run defense. Like, the run defense is what really worries me. Right now, they don't have Kenny Clark, who's probably one of their best in the defensive line, and he's been good for so many years, and finally he got paid this off season, so that's good. And then he was out this week, and then I think what happened today earlier in the game is just not having them as a presence there. It hurt them, but I just think even if you have Kenny Clark, those outside linebackers have to do a better job against the run. And I don't think that's happening. You're allowing big runs to players, and that's what happened in last year's conference championship game. Like you let Raheem Mostert run down the field like every single drive. Then that's probably what teams are going to do to you if you don't fix that in the playoffs. So I mean, it's a run defense for me, I would say.
Well, yeah. I think, Seth, with what you talked about with the Browns, it's defense versus Baker. I think, I think it should be a little bit of both. It should go hand in hand. But I think what's more important than the two is Baker. I think this is a big season for him. There's a lot of pressure on him. I think this team will go as far as he takes. Now, the running game is really good. Really, really good. You don't have a better 1-2 punch in the league than Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. Those two are going to be unbelievable. Unbelievable. They were so good on Thursday. They absolutely torched the Bengals. Now it's the Bengals. But they're going to have that the rest of the year. They're really good there. It's about Baker. And I thought on Thursday night, he made he was better. He's definitely better than him. Anything could be better than how he played week 1. He was sharper. That throw to Beckham was really good. Now, 216 yards is not going to make you jump out of your seat, of course. But he did a better job controlling the ball. He did have a kind of a bad pick at the end. But, I like what he's done. Although it kind of was weird because the next day people are talking about, look at Baker Mayfield. I didn't hear enough chat about Joe Burrow. Like, I thought Joe Burrow was the better quarterback in that game. He threw 61 times.
61 passes, man.
With 3 touchdowns. He only had 1 fumble and 1 turnover, and that was because his offensive line can't friggin' block for him. So I'm more impressed with Joe, but I like what I saw out of Baker last week, and I think really that this season comes down to how is he going to get better from last year, because last year was a down year for him. This year he's trying to look like the rookie that we saw with Baker Mayfield, and I think he's capable of that. His decision-making has to be better. We know that. His turnovers have been an issue. That's going to be the key. The running game is great. Like you said, Seth, there are going to be games where it's not going to work really well, and they're going to be down. They're going to need Baker to make plays, and I think they have the weapons. Odell, Landry, they have freaking Austin Hooper. I like Bryant, the rookie, and Njoku's been out, but they still got good tight ends. Like, they have weapons. So it's like Baker should be able to have a good season because they have these players. So I understand, like, Seth, why you're still concerned with the team. I just think they're an interesting team. They're really, because I can totally see them having a really good year and making a run for the playoffs. And I could also see it just being just like last year. So
here's the thing.
It really comes down to Baker. That's why
it's all going to come down to Baker, and it's like because excuses are over for these quarterbacks from that draft. The excuses are over for Baker, and the excuses are over for Darnold. Because Lamar Jackson won MVP last year.
It's all up to Baker, but he could be rookie year Baker, but man, I don't have enough confidence after what I saw week 1, and then of course, better game against the Bengals, but I don't have confidence that we're gonna see a Baker who's gonna set the world on fire and not make those dumb mistakes, not make those back-breaking mistakes that lead us to another losing season.
I would say it's mostly Baker, but I'm also a little bit worried about the defense. I mean, you allowed 30 points to the Bengals. But defense got to do a better job.
Yeah, it puts Baker in positions where and granted, if he is the guy that we want him to be, he should be able to manage those situations. And at a certain point, third year in the league, he needs to be able to.
If the defense isn't going to help him out, he's going to try to do too much, and we don't want him to do that.
Oh no, I'm not saying the defense is not an issue. Yeah, that secondary concerns me. Across from Denzel Ward, you've had a lot of injuries at cornerback, so it's like they need better production there. Their defensive line on paper is really good. They should be getting consistent sacks. I don't understand why they're not getting with freaking Myles Garrett, Olivier Vernon, Larry Ogunjobi, Sheldon Richardson, like Jordan Elliott's on the team too, Mizzou made. And so they should be getting more production from their defense. So yeah, their defense has been disappointing so far.
Jordan Elliott even playing the snap?
I have no idea. I haven't really been paying attention to the snap count.
I think he did. I think he has. At least
I hope I want him to. I like the kid. I think he really gives them depth, and the defensive line should be a good help. But they should be getting more pressure at quarterback. I just don't get why they're not.
So yeah, that's the end of the quarter.
I'm really excited for the next question. I have my answer, and I think it's a very easy answer.
Are you speaking of the matchup or the fantasy thing?
The matchup.
Okay, what matchup? So the question is, what matchup from next week are you most excited for the most?
Most excited for the most. Well said.
This should be very easy.
Oh yeah, we're all thinking of the same.
It's Monday Night Football.
Right? Monday Night Football is what's Monday Night Football?
Monday Night Football game next week is insane.
Ravens, man.
Ravens versus Chiefs. There's no top. Nothing tops it there. You could think about your Green Bay Packers versus Saints.
That's my matchup. That's my matchup. But I'm just gonna mention, for me at least, the Green Bay and the Saints one is very. I'm excited for that one because Green Bay has played two teams who are 0-2 right now, and then you're playing a Saints team who the last couple of years have been really good. and you want to prove to them, like you want to prove to people, like
Putting like 6
you're the
minutes
real,
for this.
you're like
This is
the real deal. So
this is
especially with a
you
Saints
just-
defense, who's one of the best defenses in the NFL. So I really want to.
I don't know how you looked at the schedule. When you formulated this question, did you look at the schedule?
No.
Because it's like,
Yeah, no.
because I was like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
come
like,
on,
this
man.
is like such an obvious answer. It's like
Dolphins, Jaguars. Yeah,
That's what I was.
that's the
man.
matchup of the week.
Of course, Gardner Minshew, baby. Gardner
Yeah.
Minshew.
Mhm.
like I mean I don't want to give more time to this.
Hashtag,
I'm gonna watch the
whatever.
Ravens versus the Chiefs because it's Patrick Mahomes versus Lamar Jackson. What do you want me
How
to
about-
say?
There's no argument.
How about okay? But in terms of like ones that are interesting, the Rams and Bills, that's interesting matchup.
I'm not
But
even
that's
looking at
not
next
the
week.
Ravens
I'm still
versus
looking-
the
I'm
Chiefs.
still no.
Okay. See,
The
Robert
thing is, for me, I'm not looking
Robert's
at
saying
next
other
week
things
right
that
now.
are interesting, which they are interesting. But if we're just like doing this like as a what is the most obviously, I mean, gotta look at the schedule. But yeah, obviously it's Ravens Chiefs. But there are other interesting games.
Yes, there's nothing else that needs to be said. Actually, I'm still looking at tomorrow night. I think tomorrow night's interesting with the Saints and the Raiders. The Raiders going to make their home debut in Las Vegas with the freaking Death Star looking stadium. It looks awesome.
Dude, that thing looks crazy.
And Michael Thomas isn't going to be playing tomorrow for the Saints. So that's actually a really interesting game because the Saints offense didn't look that good last week against the Buccaneers. And the Raiders, I think, is a team that people are going to just sleep on and be like, they were pretty decent last year. I think this year they're really interesting. I think they could maybe make some noise. Who knows? They made some acquisitions to add some to that defense. I think tomorrow night could be interesting. I think.
And talking about making some noise in that stadium, the Killers play the halftime show tomorrow in that stadium.
Oh, cool.
It's actually gonna be there.
Really?
Yeah, they're from Vegas.
Or they're gonna have the
Big
music
deal.
video thing.
I'm hoping, hey, if they make a Super Bowl, I'm hoping they play the Super Bowl in Vegas that year whenever they do the Super Bowl in that stadium. And I'm definitely buying tickets. Like I'm not even thinking about it. I think the possibility of the Super Bowl being played there is in 2025, 2024. So I'm saving up money.
I'm interested to see the Raiders and how, just right off the bat, you got yourself a test in the Saints. And I thought Derek Carr, low key last year, had a solid year. And Josh Jacobs, that man is an absolute monster. I think he's well on his way to be an elite running back in this league. And he was so good last week. And for the Saints,
and Waller.
And freaking Waller, man. I think Waller could turn himself into an elite tight end. Although they lost Tyrell Williams for the year, but Henry Ruggs. So the team is interesting, and their defense looks much better than last year. So, and John Gruden, I think, has done a pretty decent job. I think last year their offense finally took a little bit of a step forward and showed there was a little bit of intrigue with that team.
It sounds like Josiah has to knock some wood if you're with me.
Yes. No, that Raiders team's interesting. Ever since they beat my Bears last year in London, man, they got my respect. So they're an interesting team. That tomorrow could be a fun game, I think. And this season for the Raiders could be interesting. The Saints, we know what's going to happen with that. Well, the next several weeks could be interesting without Michael Thomas. We'll see how they can replace him. Emmanuel Sanders,
baby.
Up now. I think they'll be okay. But the Raiders to me are the more intriguing team. So I want to see it. I just want to see that stadium.
Also, Derek Carr played well
that
last
stadium
week.
looks so cool.
Derek Carr played well last week.
Yeah, he did. And he led that game-winning drive, and Josh Jacobs had that touchdown. So it's the Panthers. But it's a long
Talk
season.
about stories about those teams that make no sense why they make so much headlines. The audible for the Las Vegas Raiders is John Gruden's wife's name, Cindy. And it became a really weird headline that I noticed. I don't know. There's some side articles you can look it up. I don't want to take too much time on it. But yeah.
Wow.
The audible is Cindy.
What?
I didn't even know that. That's so weird.
Yeah.
Spider Fly Banana, that's his go-to play, but I didn't know that. That's interesting.
And it wasn't him. It wasn't Gruden's idea. It was a surprise to him.
I think
But
his
yeah,
wife.
I don't know.
I think his wife Cheerleader at the University of Tennessee. Because that's why everybody thought he was going to take the Tennessee job like 3 or 4 times.
Maybe it was Mike Mayock's idea. I don't know. I don't know, man. That's interesting though.
But hey, first game in Vegas, no fans.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
weird.
It's really weird.
First game in Vegas, no fans.
Yeah.
You like
But
going to the UNLV
anyways, still, isn't it so fitting that the Raiders are in Vegas? There's like historically, there should be like no other team like in Vegas. Like Vegas was just fitting for the Raiders. Like, could you imagine the Vegas Rams? Nah, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah. It's gonna be
Vegas
weird.
Chargers? Nah.
It's gonna be weird seeing their home games without the black hole, man. It's gonna be.
How
Really
about the
weird.
Las Vegas Jets? That sounds cool. The Las Vegas Jets.
I wouldn't mind, man. I wouldn't mind visiting Vegas instead of New York.
Vegas. Come on, the Las Vegas Jets sounds cool.
Yeah.
First
sure.
of all, they're not moving New York. It's such an like.
Yeah, it's New York. Never move.
Also,
Hey, next topic.
it makes me wish Al Davis is still alive. That would be cool.
It would be.
Las Vegas Chargers.
No.
Yeah.
No.
How about the San Diego Chargers? Let's try that.
No.
Gee.
How about,
Yeah, let's try that
how
time.
about the Las Vegas football team?
Oh, I love that. Oh, could you imagine the rivalry they'd have with Washington? Football team v football team.
Hey, talking about COVID and people like in quarantine.
Yeah.
Snyder and his wife are in quarantine right now because of COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
So-
the most positive piece of news about Daniel Snyder that we've had in years. Just
Oh,
like,
that's awful.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. If you're looking at it and you're trying to find something like you're trying to think better of him,
Positive.
you know,
Something that's
Yeah.
positive.
I swear that wasn't even on purpose. But I'm like, compared to like the racial slurs and like the harassment, you see that he got COVID and you're just like, oh, well, I hope he gets better, as opposed to, oh my God, he's an awful person. So that's good.
So last topic, keep it short before we do the fun topic. So, how is your guys' fantasy teams doing?
Oh, well, last time I checked, I was doing pretty well. I actually have not checked the matchup in a bit, but I'm going to as we speak. I have Matt Ryan as my starter, and he was.
Yeah, you're beating me, Josiah. Just admit it. You're playing me and you're
Oh,
massacring
I just
me.
think it's funny.
forgot you're
I just think that it's funny that Brian lost last week and is 1-0 and is currently outside of the playoffs.
You think
Oh,
a lot-
yeah, but that's just because there's only 4
I think they're
playoff
on-
teams and there's 10 teams in the league. Of course, there's going to be one team out of the playoffs that's 1-0. It's pure mathematics.
But okay, let me just. All right, so Matt Ryan was huge for me this week. I mean, Allen Robinson was kind of disappointing. Although, okay, right now 144 to 115. You still got Chris Carson, Brian. I mean, you see it.
I'm
You never know.
screwed.
You never know what could happen. But
I'm screwed. Sammy Watkins screwed me.
that's
There's
right. I forgot he got hurt. God, that sucks.
There's like I was.
But
there's
Robbie
no-
Anderson, he had a good week last week and he had no this one.
Yeah, but I thought Sammy Watkins. I don't know. It's a toss up. It's a toss up either way because it's a wide receiver thing. And it was like, really, you're gonna go with Robbie Anderson, who like depends on deep balls. But I mean, I guess it works.
Yeah,
I'll have to think about it next week.
I got Drake and Mixon. My 2 starting receivers were kind of iffy, but Tyler Higbee, holy, 28 points. Dave Montgomery, let's go. He was huge today.
Jesus,
I mean,
Seth.
I had the choice between him or Deontay Johnson. I should have just started Johnson because Landry sucked. Robinson wasn't that good. Prater freaking sucked too. All the Buccaneers defense was good. So, I mean, I'm feeling good. I think I might get my first win. Last week, I just ran into a buzzsaw. Robert thinks that he was like, when I was winning, he was like, oh, wow, you're finally doing something. I'm like, last week, I actually played pretty well. It's just, you're not going to beat a team that has 176 points. I ran into a freaking buzzsaw last week.
But here's the thing, though. If you notice the whole standings and everything, everyone who won had higher points than all the losing teams. So you were not gonna beat any of the 5 teams that
Wow.
won.
Mathematics.
Didn't know that. Thanks, Brian. I didn't know. If you score more points than the other team, you will win. There's
So it's like
the-
you didn't do that bad, but there's still 5 teams
games
in
were
the
lost.
league that would have beat you.
Then they are
Actually,
won.
6
Look at
teams.
that.
6 teams would have beat you because those teams would have beat you last week too.
I mean, I'm not even that.
Only 3 teams would have beaten you last week.
I'm not complaining that much about last week. You know, this week I'm focused on trying to get it done.
I'm trashing you because you're gonna beat me this week because
Yeah, I'm surprised
I
you're
started.
trashing me. I'm beating you right now, Ryan. I'm
I
surprised.
know. I'm not gonna win.
I just want to go to Seth.
Why? Because Seth.
Wow.
Why? Because you just want to laugh. I feel bad for Seth because he
I
has
feel
Drew
bad that
Lock.
he-
Okay.
I just don't understand why you
quarterback
drafted Drew Lock as a starting
1.2
quarterback.
today. That's my quarterback minus 1.2. Okay, because he fumbled.
I
and
can't
he
believe you
got
drafted
injured
Drew Lock as a
fumbling
quarterback.
the ball. He got injured fumbling the ball, so he's minus 1.2. That was my quarterback
Why do you even
What
start?
you get
I
for
don't
getting
even
Drew
know.
Lock.
because I drafted him. I thought he was
I
going to
still
be
can't
good.
believe you drafted Terry McLaurin in the 3rd round.
Hey,
Yeah.
no, but Terry McLaurin.
He's
he
been
actually
good.
got
He's been good.
25
Still, 3rd round, it was like,
Seth, I'm sorry. Your drafting was horrible.
yeah.
I'm just
I
being
mean-
honest, okay? And you get Drew Lock as your quarterback. You're really trying there.
I'm going to say, though, McLaurin, he had more points than anybody on the opposing team that I was playing. So,
Congrats.
So I'm gonna say the other league that I have has been horrible just because I didn't draft.
Wait,
him
we're
that-
talking about other leagues? I thought we were just talking
Well,
about
yeah.
our league.
Well, I'm just rushing that one and then going to this one. The other one I did an auto draft. Couldn't do the draft myself, so team's been horrible. But on this one, I won last week 144 something. Remember? And now I'm winning 165 to 143. The other guy has how many players left? He has DK Metcalf left play. Well, he's playing right now, and scores like it's not gonna be good enough for this.
Wait, did we lose Robert?
I mean, if we're going to talk about that,
By the way, after last week, Devontae Adams 40 points. This week, he's the guy with the lowest points in my team. Well, no, Mark Andrews is with 3, but Devontae 6.
for some reason, my other
But
apps-
Jesus, Dak started today with negative points. And he ended up with 39.
Well, yeah. I mean,
And then Connor got me 20. Nick Chubb got me 26. And then my flex got me 29.
who's your flex?
Wait, so you
Stephon
had Dak. So how scared were you today when he had to leave for the medical tent?
I actually didn't hear about it after he came back.
Well, I don't know.
But
I feel my whole.
And the thing is, I got J.K. Dobbins now. I traded for him. So when he starts playing well, I'm
like
gonna
hearing
have
that.
what?
I like hearing that.
I need Kittle to come back, man.
Yeah, that sucks. I
And
claimed
it's-
Lindsay because for some reason Robert let him go. So I've
never had it.
You did.
No.
Who did you claim?
Robert
No,
Lindsay.
Robert. I'm Roberto on the league.
And who the fuck
Oh,
is-
I gave up
Wait, what?
Lindsay on another league.
There's a Robert and there's a Roberto.
Is Robert like another? It's another.
He's
Robert?
Roberto.
Oh,
He's Roberto in our league
okay. Wow.
because his legal name is actually
Well,
Roberto.
I'm
Oh my
underdog.
God, nobody knew that.
I mean, but yeah. So he gave up Philip Lindsay for some freaking reason. So I got him. I'm like, I want to add depth to my team. I know he's hurt, but keep him around. But if we're gonna talk about other leagues, then I mean, my other league I'm doing pretty freaking well. Matt Ryan 27, Miles Sanders 21, Drake was 11, Woods 10, Calvin Ridley 29, Higbee 28, Johnson 23. So
Hey,
Brian,
you know what? I want to
going-
say something real quick about fantasy and everything because we're all talking about leagues or whatever. I think we should really talk about players that are surprising us from all our teams or all our leagues. And I in terms of my other league team, the backup running back for the San Diego Chargers, Joshua Kelly. My God, he's a
Los Angeles.
surprise.
Chargers.
Los Angeles Chargers, Brian.
I like San Diego.
I don't know what I said.
You said
Did I
San
say
Diego.
San Diego?
Yeah,
Oh man,
they're the new
second
Washington
nature.
football team. You gotta.
Brian, if you need a tight end, I'm willing to trade you T.J. Hawkinson.
TJ Hawkinson, really.
I don't know if I like trading for tight ends. It's weird.
Unless
it's Higbee.
I want Brandon Cooks in return.
You want Brandon Cooks?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't find a use for him right now. So you want him?
For T.J. Hawkinson. You need a tight end.
I'm just
I'll
gonna
think
say,
about
like,
it.
I mean, he's probably going to be in my bench because my wide receivers are Stephon Diggs, Keenan Allen, and sorry, guy.
I'm just gonna say that my other league,
Julian Edelman, Devontae Adams.
like Calvin Ridley. Oh my God, he's been killing it for me. And you know what? I'm not surprised because when I drafted him, I was like, this could be a freaking dynamite pick. And the first 2 weeks, he's been so good. I mean, he's an exciting young receiver for the Falcons, and he's going to turn himself into – he already is a great receiver, and he's the perfect, second option to Julio Jones. So it's like he's been giving me a freaking boost. He's helped me win these first 2 weeks. So I'm so happy I made that pick.
Yeah. So you guys ready to the last topic?
Wait, they don't want to give their take on it?
What?
They
You guys
don't-
have anything else to say?
No? Okay.
Okay, so last topic, so we can get out of here because it's already 8:51. So let's do our top 10 power rankings of the teams from what we've seen and what we believe, how the league matches up and like all that. So
Okay.
go for 10 to 1.
Okay, so I have mine ready right now. So let's see. Number 10 for me, Los Angeles Rams. I kind of was looking either them or the Cowboys. The Cowboys should have lost. So I get the Rams at 10. And I felt like, this week they looked really good. Jared Goff, I mean, so good. They took care of business against the Eagles. Last week, even though, they barely beat the Cowboys, I just felt like they looked good overall. Their defense looked pretty like what I saw out of Aaron Donald. And I just feel like their offense just looks a lot more like the old Rams. Like, I like how they're running. I like the play action. I mean, they love bootleg. They love having – their offense is geared towards having the offense move one way and then Jared Goff goes back the other. And that's what Sean McVay loves, that type of offense. And they've been running that, and they look good. I mean, Jared Goff actually looks really good right now because I always thought that he's super overrated and super overpaid. But, he has something to prove this year for sure because this is their division is up for grabs. So it's like 2-0 so far this year. They look pretty impressive. I like what I've seen from them. Number 9, the Seahawks right now playing against the Patriots. For week 1, Russell Wilson was just unbelievable. I expect him to be an MVP candidate again. They're going to get Josh Gordon at some point, although he probably will get in trouble and then miss another several games. But that team is interesting because now you got Jamal Adams. And they're going that really changes the course of that entire defense right there. So they're scary this year. Number 8, I have the Niners, despite the fact that, now the next couple of weeks, this could change, but I was impressed with the fact that they were still able to dominate and take care of business against the Jets with all these injuries. Now we know that for the next coming weeks, that's going to be an issue where it's really interesting to see how they handle that. 7, I got the Bills. Josh Allen, he's looked really good. Really, really good. Although they had to fight to beat the Dolphins today.
Brian, did you see the video of him trucking the linebackers?
I'm in the middle of my list, and you just interrupted me. Yes, I was actually going to get to that. Yeah. And you interrupted me during my list.
Continue.
But yeah, Josh Allen freaking ran over 2 guys today. So, he's looking good. I like that Bills team a lot. And Diggs was killing it today too. 6, I got the Steelers. They did well against the Broncos. The Broncos really competed without Drew Lock. But the Steelers, man, that defense looks really formidable. TJ Watt, that pass rush looks great. I love Minka Fitzpatrick. Devin Bush, I expect him this year. And they have Big Ben now. So it's like that really changes everything. That is in that division and the threat in the AFC. 5, the Tennessee Titans. Now, they've had some ups and downs, okay, but Steven Gostkowski was much better today, hit the game-winning field goal to beat the Jaguars, and they had to work to beat the Jags. I've been actually really impressed with how the Jags have played the first 2 weeks. Really competitive. Minshew has been really good. But yeah, I think the Titans are a team that's very dangerous this year, especially with adding Clowney. Number 4, I got the New Orleans Saints. Now, we have yet to see what they do tomorrow without Michael Thomas, but last week they played very well against the Buccaneers. The defense really controlled that game. Their run defense has always been so good, and that was, again, the case last week. We'll see how their offense looks without Michael Thomas. That'll be very interesting, but right now that's where they sit. Number 3, I have the Chiefs. They really had to work to the Chargers today. They went into OT and they had to win by. I mean, Harrison Butker, that's an amazing kick. I mean, unbelievable. How that guy's been so reliable for them. And yeah, I mean, week 1 they looked amazing. This week, not so much. But they won. I'm sure they'll take it, and they're going to be another contender this year. Number 2, I got the Packers because of just how impressive they've been. And it pains me to say it, but they've been really good so far. Don't touch me.
Welcome to the good side.
No.
Welcome to the.
I will never go to the Packers side. Fuck the Packers. But I will say, the first 2 weeks, they've been really good. The offense, like we said before, has been extremely impressive. Aaron Jones dominant today. Aaron Rodgers continuing to play well. It'll be interesting to see how the rest of the season goes, but I like so far a lot what they've done. And number 1, I got the Ravens. Like I said, they're on a mission this year because they want to get over that upset last year in the playoffs. And so far, their running game looks really, really good. Adding J.K. Dobbins to that group, it just makes them even more dangerous. The running game was always really good, and the defense is formidable. So this is right now the Ravens. I think now you could argue the Packers are the better team right now. You could argue the Packers are playing as well as anybody. But I think the Ravens, I've been more impressed with them. And Lamar Jackson is doing his thing, and I expect him to have another big year. But yeah, I like the Ravens as the number 1 team in the NFL. That's my list.
Man, I don't know. I tend to disagree with you in a couple spaces.
Okay.
That's fine.
It kind of surprised me, but I don't have the Niners on my list.
Actually, me either.
But they could easily be there. I mean, it's mainly due to record and due to the fact that I want Arizona to start me off at 10. Arizona, they've won. They weren't even on your list, Josiah, and I feel it a slighted if I were at Arizona.
Yeah. I admit I snubbed them a little bit. I'll admit it, but
and then I would, and you know what? And this is just based on just where I feel like they are and their growth, and I feel like they could be higher in this list, and they should be probably. Then I would go number 9. I'd go to the Rams. Impressive what they've been doing, but however, I feel like equally as impressive are other teams that are ahead of them here. At number 8, I have the Steelers. I mean, they got Big Ben back. It seems like they've been like clicking. Today, I felt like they were pretty good. And then I'll go number 7. I'll go to the Bills. I mean, I can't. I mean, they totally decimated my Jets week 1. Today, you saw what Jared Allen did. I mean, you heard it. But I feel like the Dolphins gave them a run for their money. A little bit more than the Jets
Again,
did.
he said it again.
what do you say?
What?
He said Jared Allen.
Oh, sorry. It happens.
Oh God, man.
Seattle Seahawks, number 6. I feel like maybe they should be higher. I mean, they could handily and also I don't even have the Patriots on this list, and they're probably at 11. But the Seahawks, man, they're a dangerous team, man. They're my Super Bowl pick and for the NFC, and I am not changing it. I really think that they could really be their year. And like you said, Jamal Adams, the addition to Jamal Adams just gave another face to that defense that they haven't seen since the Legion of Boom. Then I'd go number 5, the Saints. We're waiting to see what happens with them tomorrow. But yeah, I mean, they look like a dangerous team. They always will be. And again, I think Taysom Hill, man, gives that team a totally different look than any other team in the NFL. I feel like people have to respect that position that the New Orleans Saints have created with him. And I even think that the Eagles might be following suit with Jalen Hurts. They used him a little bit of decoy today. Okay, after the Saints. Wait, where's my Word document? After the Saints, I got the Packers. Sorry, I can't put them that high on my list, man. I feel at some point they'll disappoint. And you know what? Their defense, I almost feel like it's just been like their offense have been outscoring and their defense they've been letting out at some points. And even though they got a pick 6 today.
I understand that.
Even though they got a pick six today, it's like not something that like has fully impressed me in terms of like them stopping teams and them stopping dangerous teams. Like I feel like they're gonna run into a lot harder teams to beat later on, and it's gonna be harder for them. And number three, I got Kansas City. Kansas City played like really bad today. Like it's just like they played awful today, and yet they got the victory, and that says something. I mean, they went into like a new stadium that the Chargers were opening up, even though they have no fans. But I'm sure the Chargers didn't want to lose their home opener. But yeah, they beat a team that felt like they were ready for them in the Chargers, and they got out of there alive with a victory. So like that's a good thing. And they're really a dangerous team. You gotta think Edwards-Helaire just gives that team a whole different dimension that they didn't have last year. That is just like whoa. Like if they just keep on clicking, like it's gonna be amazing. However, I did find it interesting how like it seemed like the Chargers really had their kryptonite today because Mahomes did not look like Mahomes for most of the day. At number two, I got the Tennessee Titans. Yes, the Tennessee Titans, because you know what happened today? They Tannehill won the game. It wasn't Derrick Henry. It was Tannehill. And that was what we were doubting about the Tennessee Titans before the season. Was whether Tannehill was going to be able to be the quarterback that he was supposed to be with the money and everything. And I think he's shown that. I think he's showing that at least today. Like today, he balled out today, and I like that. That to me makes the Titans a really dangerous team and putting them at number two, which leaves me at number one at the same answer as Josiah. At number one, the Baltimore Ravens. They're in a mission. The three-headed monster at running back it's a real three-headed monster. I mean, I can't say that I'd say that those players are fantasy players to pick up because it's a running back by committee, man. But it's really they're three-headed monsters. They're so talented, and like Lamar Jackson, there's not much you can say about the MVP. What more can you say? He is playing like he's on a mission, and hopefully, he can resist the whole season. The season is 16 games and then the playoffs. They just have to turn it on the playoffs, and hopefully they will. So they're my number one. I don't know what happened.
Oh my
Just a
God.
ridiculous play just happened. Jamal Murray like chucked up a three and then just ricocheted into the basket off of a rebound. It was ridiculous. But and Anthony Davis just answered back. Wow. Okay. I like that list, Brian.
I'm just gonna add. I know I understand what you mentioned, like what you said about the Packers, but last week the passing didn't did a lot. I mean, they had a safety, they had 2 interceptions. I don't know what more can you ask them.
Well, it got close. It got interesting at the end. I mean,
it wasn't close.
They were good through the first three quarters, and I get it. You know, they're gonna lay off a little bit when they're up big. This week, though, I mean, you know, it's just there's just things they got to clean up.
Yeah.
But I will say, like, the reason why I let the Cardinals off is because, like, you know, if I'm basing it off of from when we started the season. Like, if we made a power rankings right now to start the season, they'd be in the middle of the pack, more like a 20. After week one,
I respect that.
After this week, they went up a few spots because they beat Washington. Washington sucks. So it's like
I also think that for example, I almost put the Patriots in this list, and I was like, that was like there in my top, my number 10 in this list was really hard. That was the hardest one.
Fair.
Set.
Yeah. So I like the idea of putting the Patriots in there, but I didn't have the Patriots in there. I didn't have the Cardinals either. Those would probably be 11 and 12 for me. I would like to see the Cardinals like actually put together a full season. Kyler actually be like a legitimate MVP candidate for a full year and have them like be a playoff team. I think it's totally possible. At number 10, I got the Chargers, largely because I mean they gave I'm gonna give something away. They gave what I think is the best team. By the way, let me say that I'm not making these rankings like necessarily just based on what happened the last 2 weeks. To me, it's just like I put more
Feeling.
stock into what I like overall as opposed to like 2 weeks of action. But anyway, yeah. The Chargers played what I think is the best team in the NFL and almost beat them. I could see them bouncing back and having and being good. At number 9, I got the Steelers. I wasn't particularly impressed with their win today. I mean, beating a Drew Lockless Broncos team, kind of holding on there, beating the Giants the week before. Neither of those things particularly impressed me, but you got Ben Roethlisberger, you got that defense. Okay, I'll have them as one of the top teams. Yeah, I mean, I'm not sorry. I'm super excited.
I'm sorry. There's a little bit of disrespect there. Like,
yeah, no,
they're gonna win. What do they have to do? Do you think they should have just whooped them both weeks?
I mean, yeah, if they want to be top 5, yeah, I got them at number 9. I'm sorry.
I don't know. It just sounds like you're kind of disrespecting them just a little bit, but
a little bit. I'm disrespecting the people. Oh wow, Denver has the lead. I'm disrespecting the. Yeah, I got this on a stream that's really slow. Yeah, but I'm disrespecting the people who say like, oh yeah, they're now one of the favorites. At number 8, I got the Bills. You got 2 again fairly underwhelming wins. I mean, the Jets and the Dolphins. You're supposed to win both of those games. I'll admit, Josh Allen has looked pretty good. That play was awesome earlier today. I mean, he's a force, man. He is a force. Like I told Robert, even though he's not my favorite quarterback, he is for sure one of the most entertaining quarterbacks in the league. And I'd watch a game with Josh Allen before just about anyone because you just don't know what's going to happen. You don't know if he's going to do something idiotic or you don't know if he's going to make an amazing play that's going to win them the game. Number 7, I got the Titans, although I was kind of almost persuaded into putting them higher based on what Brian said. The idea of Tannehill actually winning them the game. I mean, that's impressive to me because, like Brian was saying, that was the question we had. Tell me what happened.
My God. Anthony Davis just hit a 3 and won the game for the Lakers.
Oh my God.
I'm missing you. It's like
Brian, you need to what are you streaming on? You're way behind, man.
Sling.
Oh my
Sling.
God.
You shouldn't be that behind.
Insane.
Oh my God.
I told y'all.
Hands in his face.
I told you.
He jumped towards him.
I told you guys about Anthony Davis, man. He's gonna have a huge impact in this freaking series. Woo.
Yeah, I would think.
Yeah, he's gonna hit the game-winning 3 in game 2. Yeah.
Oh, come on. We know he can shoot the 3.
Yeah. Oh my God. Oh, I feel so bad for Denver though.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, they competed. They really did to the very end.
Wow.
Oh my God. Anthony Davis just ran over someone. They're all jumping in the freaking. Oh my God, that's hilarious. Wow.
I love that we're all watching this. We all have reactions at different times.
Wow, that was awesome. And it was right after Jamal Murray made an insane, like an amazing block on Danny Green and went out of bounds. The Lakers had no timeouts, so they had to just go. That was awesome. Wow. Yeah, 4 Nuggets, man. They fought to the very end, but Lakers just better.
So,
all right, sorry.
So yeah. Where was I? I think I was done with the Titans. The idea that
That was a great call.
What?
Sorry, that was a great call. That game. I'm sorry. That was a great play call by Frank Vogel right there. Like that was it.
Amazing.
Yeah.
All right, so go on.
But yeah, so the idea that Tannehill won them a game is really impressive to me. That made me want to put him higher, but I ended up not doing that. I got the 49ers at number 6. I think even though they lost week 1, they're going to get healthier. They're going to be a challenger again for the conference. They're going to be a Super Bowl challenger again. So just one loss to a pretty good Cardinals team. I agree that the Cardinals are good. Doesn't do enough to dissuade me that the 49ers are one of the top teams in the league. I got the Saints at number 5. The reason I don't have them any higher, given how impressive their defense looked, was Drew Brees just kind of looked off a little bit in that one. Of course, I mean, losing Michael Thomas, at least for tomorrow, we don't know how they'll look, but I don't believe that Drew Brees is that guy anymore who's going to like lead them, like be like the number 1 or top 3 quarterback in the league. So since I don't believe in that, even though their defense was impressive, I don't have them in like the top 3 or anything. Number 4, the Seahawks, of course, playing tonight. Yeah, they're my Super Bowl pick too. Yeah, they have everything they need in order to make it back and make it back to the Super Bowl. I'll say Roberts Packers at number 3. Great offensive performances back-to-back games. I understand what was being said about the defense. Now they have made some great defensive plays, but sometimes too you wonder if the offense doesn't play that well. Is that going to be a problem? It probably will be later, but the offense has just looked so good that you got to have them top 3. Number 2, I'm gonna have your guys' number 1 team. I got the Ravens. I don't believe them as the number 1 team overall right now. Not that they haven't been impressive, not that they didn't whoop my team, because they absolutely did. Not that Lamar Jackson isn't great, but if you want me to put them number 1 in the power rankings after what I saw in the playoffs from them the last 2 years, because to me, power rankings are who's the best team in the NFL, not just based off the last 2 weeks, but who you actually believe in. I just don't believe in them as the number 1 team. I especially don't believe in them over the Kansas City Chiefs. Even though they barely squeaked out a win today, we know everything they're capable of. And I think it was Brian who mentioned Hilaire, how he's gonna change things. Like he's gonna add an entirely new dimension to them running. I mean, their offense is going to be world beaters again this year. They're actually, to me, by far the number 1 team. I don't even have the Ravens close.
I don't know if it's by far. I don't agree with that. I think the Ravens haven't looked bad these first 2 weeks.
No, they haven't looked bad, but 2 games isn't enough to make me trust them.
And you put a team in the Chargers at number 10 who didn't even win
Nobody
today.
No.
And I can put plenty of other teams that are over them. The Rams, maybe? I mean, I get what you're saying. I get your explanations here, but I still wouldn't put the Chargers at 10. That's way too high.
I understand that, but like I said, I believe the Chiefs are by far the best team in the league. And if you give them a game, that's worth something to me.
These are Seth's power rankings, so this is his definition.
I just love how
And it's not like what team has impressed you more. Like that's a loose definition. It's his power ranking.
I think it's kind of foolish for the team in the Chargers, who were a joke to begin the season, who are 1-1, a game that they could have gone overtime last against the Bengals if Randy Bullock didn't freaking botch that kick. They could have easily be 0-2, and they wouldn't have made it.
But you put a 1-1 team too. You put the Niners in the top 10.
Yeah, because
So I didn't put a 1-1 team. But it's same as
I still thought it was impressive the fact that they took care of business even with the injuries today.
But they already
on the Jets. On the Jets, really? I'm even saying like it's not impressive to beat the Jets. That's like beating a high school team.
The Niners or the Chargers? Are you serious right now? Why is there a comparison there? The Chargers suck. Okay, and the Niners coming into the season were a top team. And it's just like
I agree with you. I'm just trying to defend. I'm trying to defend Seth's pick here of a 1-1 team.
I just completely.
Your pick of a 1-1 team.
I think it's ridiculous, in my opinion.
Okay.
But
I mean, we'll see.
You made the list. I just completely disagree with 10.
Okay, that's fair. Cool. No, but we'll see. We'll see if the Chargers continue. I mean, I think they look good the last 2 weeks. But I mean, okay, granted, winning at Cincinnati over in Joe Burrow's first ever game is not the most impressive thing, but overall,
Chargers, they have no fans at all.
well, that's true, but I mean,
They have
I
no fans.
don't really put fans.
You might as well.
part of my
You might
definition
as
of power
well
ranking.
just have. You might as well allow capacity in their stadiums because no one's going to those games. Come on, man. I'm sorry. I don't
Yeah. So
I just like in the midst of this time
Wait,
return
wait.
human. No.
Josiah, did you put fans as, was that one of your parameters in your top 10?
No, that had nothing to do with my top 10. It's just like it's the Chargers, man. But it's whatever. I mean, okay, wait. Robert, do you have a list?
No, yeah, I have the list.
Okay.
I want to hear Roberts.
Okay. Number 10, I got the Cardinals. They've impressed me. That first game against 49ers, they only had one key player that was injured, but still, it was a good game by the Cardinals. And one thing that worried me coming into the season was the offensive line and the defense, and they've both been good. So I got to give them credit in getting better in that, and they've been good. Well,
I think their defense was fine.
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't have many concerns, honestly.
Last year I did, not now, and they're playing good. So, and Kyler's been good. So, as you mentioned earlier, Kingsbury, like he's been good. So, number 9, I got the Rams. There's something about the Rams that I put them here because I'm confident in the offense, and I'm actually more confident on the defense. But I just feel like we'll see inconsistent games sometimes. Like we're just like lay off, and there's something about it where I can actually put them not even in the top 10, but I feel like I have to because they have Sean McVay. He's a great offensive mind, and what he's done in the past, I think he's going to repeat that. But I don't feel as confident as the Rams as I did 2 years ago, like 3 years ago or 2 years ago, like that. So number 8, I got the Titans. You mentioned Tannehill. He basically won in the game, as he said. And the thing that has impressed me the most has been, well, not impressed me, but it's been good for them is the defense. I mean, they got a great defensive line. It's terrifying. You saw the other day against what? What, Brian?
No, I'm just surprised you have him at number 8.
Yeah. The defensive line is
so low, so high.
The other day against the Broncos,
they could have lost to the Jaguars.
Yeah, they could have lost to the Jaguars. That's what it has.
So I get that.
Yeah, and they play. And if it wasn't, Gostkowski lost in that game also.
Last week was an ugly game too.
Yeah, so he won in the game, but he almost they could have been up more.
They could be 0-2.
Yeah,
but he missed 3 field goals, and if he would have, any other kicker would have made those 3 field goals, it would have been a very comfortable game for the Titans.
Yeah, but I understand Robert putting him at 8.
Yeah, and then you got Derrick Henry, who's not looked like himself the last 2 games either. So you got to see for them. I just don't feel confident in them right now that much, but I feel like they're still a good team. Then at 7, I got the Steelers. I mean, Big Ben being back is great for them. They're 2-0. The receivers have been very good. You just want more consistency from James Conner and that he can stay on the field. That'd be good. But the defense, my God, T.J. Watt, Minkah Fitzpatrick, like that's scary enough to think about. Like, you got to think about both sides of the ball, and the defense is just really scary. So.
By the way, you said that Derrick Henry hasn't been himself. He had over 100 yards against the Broncos last week.
It's been okay. I would have expected more from Derrick Henry. Number 6, I got the Bills. I initially had them at number 5, but I had them at 6 because you guys mentioned they played 2 teams who were like, so you don't know like what to expect from them. When they actually play a good team, we got to see how they do. But Josh Allen has been really good. He's been impressive with like throwing the ball. That the thing that people most worried about. And then he keeps what?
Freaking Brian.
I hate you. So yeah, I mean the Bills defense has been really good. I feel last year they're really good, and this year I think they're going to be the same. What, Brian?
No. You froze for a second, and now you're back.
Okay, number 5, I got the Seahawks. I mean Russell Wilson. Right now he's my MVP. Russell Wilson has been that good, and then his receivers have been really good. DK Metcalf has been insane this year, and the catch that he made earlier for the touchdown was really impressive. And I mean, and defensive wise, I mean, Jamal Adams, he's a game changer there, and he's gonna impact it a lot. So it's good to see Russ have a good team again. So yeah. Well, he was a good team last year.
His team last year was pretty good.
Yeah.
I thought.
Yeah. And number 4, I got the Saints. You can say everything about the Saints that you want, but I just feel like that offense has been really good. And throughout the years, you still got Michael Thomas. Yes, he's injured right now. We don't know if he's going to play next week. So let us see what happens there. But I still believe that they'll be good, and they'll probably get to the conference championship game. Then their defense, I mean, I feel like they're number 1 defense, I would say. I mean, Cam Jordan, one of the best leaders in the defensive side. So I think they're going to continue to be good. Then at number 3, I have the Packers. So, I mean, the offense has been great. I just want to see how it does against a good team, and that's where we get that with the Saints. And then the defense is the thing that worries me. The run game, I mean, last week they got Kamara, and like Kamara can do anything on the field, catch and then run, and he's been insane the last 3 years. So, yeah, number 2, I have the Chiefs. After what I saw to them against the Chargers, I mean, like, it's really hard to repeat in football. But, like, to come back to, like, come after a game where you beat the Texans, and the Texans, you beat them badly, the Texans, because they only scored in crunch time. And then you do this against the Chargers. I just don't get it. Maybe they'll have a consistent year, but I still have that at number 2 just because they have Patrick Mahomes and that offense, the weapons that he has. And then number 1, what Josiah and Brian said, the Ravens. I mean, not only did they have Lamar Jackson, that defense, now that the Seahawks got an interception. But that defense has been really good the last couple of years. And you mentioned the 3-headed monster they have there. And I mean, by week 5, I would expect J.K. Dobbins to get at least 30 carries a game or more. So,
this brings up a question for me, for all you guys. As far as the NFC West, I mean, it's very interesting right now, obviously. As of right now, who do we think can win? I mean, it is early, I know, and a lot can happen. But as of right now, who do you guys think is the best team in that division?
Seahawks.
Seahawks?
Seahawks.
So, but you guys have been so high on the Cardinals, and yet you still say the Seahawks.
Mhm.
Well, first of all, I
I've
have the
been
Seahawks
impressed.
higher on my list.
I've always been impressed with the Cardinals.
Okay.
It's the Seahawks. It is the Seahawks. You can't say it's so hard to make Russell to vote against Russell Wilson, and it's so hard to vote against that defense right now and Jamal Adams. Like it's just Russell Wilson had that team in the playoffs last year, and now it seems like it's a similar team, except they added Greg Olsen and they added Jamal Adams on the defensive side. And it's just like it's a monster. It's a possible monster.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I would also say the Seahawks are the best team in the division, but I'm not gonna say it's on lock at all, because obviously you got the Rams, the Cardinals, and the Niners. We'll see how they can overcome these injuries. They might end up they might be worse than these other teams. I'm not gonna say that.
I think the problem is the record. I mean, their schedule, like Robert had said earlier.
They could end up
they have all those injuries now, and their schedule is hard.
Like I said, it's the injuries, and then coming back against good teams is going to be hard.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, but yes, the injuries, guys being out, they could easily end up being have the worst record in this division.
And the funny thing is, they can have the worst record, and they probably have like a positive record.
They could go 9 wins and be last in the division. I mean, this really is a division that just looks really good. I mean, I'm really impressed with the Seahawks. I'm really impressed with the Cardinals. I'm impressed with the Rams. I mean, just, the Niners, we'll see. I mean, the Niners are they're in an interesting spot here. Every game is more important. Like, not just because of the fact that the schedule's hard, but now this division, every game now is just even more important because they want to be able to keep pace with that division. So the Niners are pretty much the only team that are in a bad spot right now, and I could still see them continuing to win and stay in the mix if they can weather the storm, they can still win the division. But it's just the injuries and the tough schedule. Oof, it's really looking tough for them. So,
But just look at what this like actual division is built around. This division is built around offensive coaches, like offensive coordinator coaches, like this new style that had come with like when Sean McVay got like all of a sudden hired in the Rams. The only one who's like a really like long holdover is Pete Carroll, and we know Pete Carroll's history and resume as an offensive coach. But I mean, just it's interesting how like the revolution of like football and how like they hired like Sean McVay and like the whole offensive coordinator, like hiring a young offensive coordinator or a young offensive guru mind has taken over the league, but also like it's none more clearer than in this division with Kyle Shanahan, Cliff Kingsbury, and Sean McVay.
yeah, and the pressure now is going to be on Kyle Shanahan. See if he can keep this team afloat. And this will really test to see his coaching, how his coaching is these next several weeks, because especially with all these different games, all these tough opponents, like it's really going to be tested now. Their depth is truly going to be tested for the next several weeks, and I'm interested to see how that goes. I'm not going to be surprised if it goes well and they still continue to win, and I also won't be surprised if it really shit the bed and they just start losing. So
I mean, those divisional matchups are going to be so fucking good.
Yeah.
Like,
I wasn't expecting it to be. I mean, coming into this season, I knew there was the Niners and Seahawks were absolutely going to be top teams, but I had no idea. The Cardinals, I was like, they're going to be competitive, but I wasn't sure about them. The Rams were just such a wild card. It's like, you really don't know. And there's still a lot of season left. You know, things could change. But right now, this division is looking by far the best division. And as good of a competitive as a division, we could see the most competitive, best division in years. We could. So.
total opposite of the NFC East.
Yeah, yeah. But there's a lot of season left there, too. I mean, but yeah, the Eagles have looked Cowboys shouldn't have won today. DCFC, they suck. And then the Giants. The Giants. They could have won today, but
anyways,
yeah.
I gotta start saying my goodbyes. So,
yeah. So I guess this is a very interesting episode. I like the last topic. Maybe you can do something similar next week for the fun topic, because that's one of my favorite ones that we did. But yeah, this is the last. We're done for today. So thank you guys for joining. Who just joined. Make sure to listen to the podcast on Spotify. It's going to be posted weekly on Spotify and iTunes. Make sure to review on iTunes.
I was literally going to say that. Make sure you review. Keep giving us those 5 stars, guys. They appreciate it.
Yeah. And so, yeah, we're going to plug in our social medias at Rob Soltero. Got the at sports_atson on Twitter. So, yeah.
Yeah, at JH Schooneman, SCHUENEMAN. That's how you spell Schooneman. And if you want to talk about how LeBron James is the second best player of all time, let me know. Hit me up on Twitter. DM me, please.
I'm going to ignore what?
What's up?
no, you go.
I'm going to ignore that shot that Josiah really just kind of like threw in my face there, because we all know that he's just making a joke because he can't seriously believe that. My Twitter is at Seth Pollock, so you can go ahead and talk to me on there.
Right.
All right, and I am at BRios PR. That's my Twitter handle.
Oh, you got it on Twitter? Okay.
Facebook? What about Facebook?
Oh yeah, fine. My Facebook is Brian Alexander Rios, because apparently no one here uses Facebook.
Nope.
No, I actually deleted Facebook.
I haven't deleted it just work.
I did watch Social Dilemma, and it scared me. Okay, it scared me a little bit, but it's okay.
Don't know what the hell that is.
Oh, it's a documentary on Netflix. It's supposed to scare the hell out of you.
All these docs. You and your docs.
You know what I started watching last night that I never watched?
What?
Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
Wait, I thought you
Oh, so good. That's such a great movie. Actually, wait, before I go, thing that I've actually wanted to recommend that's about sports, that's also entertainment, Ted Lasso on Apple TV Plus. Oh my God.
I
It's
saw the
totally the
trailer.
best new comedy I didn't expect to like, and I love it.
What's it called?
Ted Lasso. It's freaking Jason Sudeikis.
Oh, I'm
He-
watching that.
He was doing that for SNL for a while, and then he turned it into a freaking I loved it. I saw the trailers for that. I might watch that.
I mean,
What's
I
that?
didn't expect to like it. I love it.
I thought it was good. But I haven't finished the movie. I just started watching last night because I was bored.
But yeah, but that's my recommendation. But anyways, I gotta go.
Really
I gotta
good
go check on
reviews.
my daughter.
4.7 on IMDb.
All right, guys. We appreciate you listening. Appreciate you tuning in. Love you guys. Thanks.
Peace out.
Peace. Keep listening.